Hey guys, you're stumbling through a frostbitten valley, the wind howling like it's got a personal grudge. Your stomach's growling louder than the wolves circling in the distance. And the only tool you've got is a jagged rock you found an hour ago. Welcome to Prehistoric Times, where survival of the fittest isn't a catchy phrase, it's your entire Tuesday. You probably think you'd channel your inner Bear Grylls crafting a shelter and roasting a mammoth by sundown. Spoiler, you'd be lucky to make it to lunch. The Stone Age wasn't a rustic camping trip. It was a relentless gauntlet of starvation predators and diseases with zero chill. As you're curled up tonight, maybe your fan is humming quietly, or your favourite blanket is just right. Let's unravel why you wouldn't last a single day in this brutal world. It's not just about toughing it out. It's about how everything from the weather to your own teeth was trying to take you down. If you're loving this dive into the chaotic past, hit that like button, subscribe, or drop a comment about what you'd miss most, no judgment if it's Wi-Fi. The world outside is slowing down, so settle in for a wild ride through a time when roughing it was just life. We're peeling back the myths of noble cavemen and epic hunts to reveal a grittier truth. Ready? Let's step into the freezing, fang-filled reality of prehistoric times and see why you'd be begging for a time machine by breakfast. Welcome to the Stone Age, where Wi-Fi is a dream. Dust clings to your skin, gritty and warm, as you crouch low in the tall, brittle grass. The air smells of earth, and something sharp, maybe the musk of an animal nearby, maybe your own sweat. Your stomach twists, not just hungry, but hollow, like it's been days since you last chewed on anything more than a tough root. The sun beats down relentless, no shade to hide under, and the wind carries a chill that promises a cold night. You grip a jagged rock, its edges biting into your palm because that's your only tool, your only chance to survive until tomorrow. This is your life now, not some weekend camping trip with a cooler full of snacks. This is the world long before houses, roads, or even a proper fire to warm your hands. Your bare feet press into the dirt, calloused and cracked from endless walking. You've been moving for days following the faint trails of deer, or maybe something bigger, like a woolly beast with tusks longer than your arm. Your group, your family, your everything huddles nearby, their faces smudged with dirt, eyes sharp with the same hunger driving you. There's no grocery store, no market, not even a garden to raid. If you want to eat, you have to chase it, stalk it, or dig it out of the ground with your own hands. And even then you might come up empty. A bad throw, a missed shot, and everyone goes to sleep with nothing but the ache in their bellies. The world around you doesn't care. A shadow moves in the distance and your heart jumps. Is it a big cat with teeth like daggers watching you the way you watch the deer? You've seen what those claws can do. Torn hides, broken bones. Friends who never came back from a hunt. You tighten your grip on the rock, knowing it's no match for a predator that outweighs you twice over. You've heard the growls at night, felt the ground shake under the weight of something massive moving through the dark. Every rustle in the grass could be the end, every step a gamble. And then there's the sky. It's clear now, but you know it can turn on you. A storm could roll in lightning, cracking the world apart, rain turning the ground to mud that sucks at your feet. Or worse, the cold. Nights so bitter your fingers go numb, your breath clouds in front of you, and no amount of huddling with the others can keep the shivers away. You've seen winters that buried the land in snow, locking away the plants, driving the animals far from your reach. Those are the times when the hunger gets so bad you start eyeing the bark on the trees, wondering if it's worth the effort to chew. Your day begins at dawn, the moment the light creeps over the horizon. No alarm clock, just the ache in your body and the need to move. You're always moving across plains, through forests, along rivers that might lead to fish, or might just lead to more nothing. Your group doesn't stay in one place long. The animals don't wait and the berries don't grow back fast enough. You carry what you can, a few sharp stones, maybe a stick you've whittled, to a point a hide wrapped around your shoulders if you're lucky enough to have killed something recently. Everything else you make on the spot. Need a spear? Find a branch and chip away at it with your rock. Need a fire? Good luck rubbing sticks together until your hands bleed, hoping a spark catches before the wind snuffs it out. You're not alone, but that doesn't make it easier. The others in your group are just as tired, just as hungry. There's a woman with a baby strapped to her back, her eyes scanning the ground for anything edible, a root, a bug, anything to keep the little one quiet. There's an older man, his hands steady, but his steps slower than they used to be, teaching the younger ones how to spot tracks in the mud. You all depend on each other because no one survives out here alone. If you fall behind, if you twist an ankle, or cut your leg on a thorn, there's no hospital, no medicine. just the hope it heals before the fever sets in. You've seen people fade that way strong one day, gone the next. The work never stops. You're always watching, always listening. A bird's call might mean water nearby, or it might mean something dangerous is close. You learn to read the land the way the grass bends, the way the air shifts. You learn to smell the difference between a fresh trail and one that's too old to follow. Every choice matters. Do you climb the hill for a better view, knowing it'll tire you out? Do you risk the river's current for a chance at fish? Every moment is a balance, and the stakes are your life. Sometimes you get lucky. You spot a cluster of berries, bright and plump, and your mouth waters as you shove them in juice, staining your fingers. Or you work together to bring down a small antelope, your crude spear finding its mark after hours of stalking. Those moments feel like a gift, a rare chance to sit, to laugh, to feel full for once. You share the meat, the warmth of the fire, the stories of the day. But even then you're not safe. The smell of blood draws eyes from the dark wolves, cats, or worse. You sleep with one ear open, your hand never far from your rock. This world doesn't give you time to dream of anything else. There's no room for wondering about tomorrow when today is trying to kill you. You don't have words for things like cities, or screens, or delivery apps. Your world is what's in front of you. The dirt, the sky, the hunger, the fear. And yet there's something alive in it, something raw. You feel the ground under your feet, the weight of the rock in your hand, the bond with the people beside you. You're part of this world, not above it, and every day you fight to stay in it. Here's the wild part. Most people don't make it far past their 20s. If you've seen 30 summers, you're one of the old ones. Your scars and aches a badge of survival. Children are everywhere, but not all of them grow up. The weak, the unlucky, they slip away, taken by the cold, the hunger or the jaws of something you didn't see coming. You don't have time to mourn for long. You keep moving, keep fighting, because that's all you know. Your life is a constant edge, sharper than the stone you carry. No safety net, no second chances. If you're reading this and you've got a roof over your head, food in your fridge, a phone in your hand, imagine all that gone. Imagine waking up every day, knowing nothing is promised, nothing is easy. Your phone's dead, the stores are empty, and the only way to eat is to run faster than the thing you're chasing, or the thing chasing you. That's the world you're in now, where every sunrise is a victory, and every night is a question mark. Welcome to it. Your morning routine, dodge death. The first light of dawn creeps through the trees, painting the world in soft grey. Your eyes snap open, not to an alarm, but to the sharp snap of a twig nearby. Your heart pounds as you lie still, every muscle tense, listening. Is it just the wind or something heavier? Something with claws and a growl that could end you before the sun's fully up. You're curled on the hard ground, a thin hide beneath you, the air damp and cool against your skin. The others in your group stir their breaths uneven, everyone alert to the same question. Are we safe? You sit up, slowly scanning the shadows, your hand already reaching for the sharp stone you keep close. This is how your day starts, not with a yawn, but with the weight of survival pressing down on you. Your stomach growls a low, insistent ache that's been your constant companion. There's no kitchen, no pantry, not even a scrap of leftover food from yesterday. If you want to eat, you have to find it, and that means moving. You rise, your bare feet brushing against the cold earth, already sore from yesterday's endless walking. The group splits tasks without words, a rhythm born from necessity. Some will search for water, others for anything edible, berries, roots, maybe a small animal. If luck is on your side, you glance at the woman beside you, a baby strapped to her back with a strip of hide. Her eyes are sharp, scanning the ground for plants, but her shoulders are tense, ready to run if a shadow moves wrong. She's carrying life, not just her own, and out here that's a heavier load than any spear. You head toward a patch of bushes you spotted yesterday, their leaves heavy with what might be berries. The walk is long, the ground uneven rocks biting into your soles. Thorns snag at your legs, leaving thin red lines that sting with every step. You keep your ears open, catching the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird. Every sound could mean something, a stream nearby, or a predator stalking the same path. You've seen the prints before, massive paws pressed into the mud claws longer than your fingers. You've heard the stories too, hunters who went out and never came back. Their spears useless against teeth that crush bone. Your grip tightens on your stone. Its edges are small comfort, but you know it's not enough if the worst comes. The bushes are farther than you thought, and the sun is climbing, sweat beading on your forehead. You're thirsty, your mouth dry as dust, but water's another problem. The last stream you found was miles back, and even then it was murky flecks of dirt swirling in it. You drank anyway because you had to, but your gut's been uneasy ever since a churning that makes you wonder what else was in that water. Out here, even the basics can betray you. You find the bushes at last and relief washes over you. Small dark berries cling to the branches, not many but enough to share. You pick them carefully, avoiding the thorns your fingers stained purple as you pop one in your mouth, its tart bursting on your tongue, and for a moment the hunger eases. You gather as many as you can, wrapping them in a broad leaf to carry back. But the day's not done with you. You hear a low grunt, and your blood runs cold. You crouch, peering through the bushes. Across the clearing, a massive shape moves, a beast with shaggy fur and tusks that gleam in the sunlight. It's grazing unaware of you, but one wrong move could change that. You've seen what those tusks can do, goring a man before he could scream. You back away slow and silent, your heart hammering so loud, you're sure it'll give you away. The berries in your hand feel like a treasure, now worth the risk, but you're not safe until you're back with the others. The trek back is no easier. You're carrying the berries, but your arms ache, and the sun's high now, burning your skin. You pass a woman digging at the ground with a stick, her baby cooing softly as she unearths a tough, knobby root. She looks up, her face lined with exhaustion, but she nods a small gesture that says you're in this together. She's the one who keeps the group fed most days, her sharp eyes finding plants where you see only dirt. The men are out hunting, chasing deer, or something bigger, but it's her work that fills the gaps when the hunt fails. You've seen her run too, baby. And all when a pack of wolves got too close. Out here, everyone's a survivor, but she's the one who holds it all together. You think of the river again, the one you'll need to find before nightfall. Water's life, but it's never easy. The last time you had to wade through mud, the current pulling at your legs, hoping the ripples didn't hide something with jaws. You drank, but days later, your insides twisted, a pain that kept you curled up at night. You've learned to sip slowly to watch the others first, but there's no choice when the thirst takes over. You'll go again today, maybe with the older man who knows the paths, his steps careful, but his knowledge a map in his head. He's the one who taught you to spot the signs, moss on rocks, birds circling, the faint dampness in the air that might mean a spring. Back with the group, you share the berries, small portions passed around, as the children reach with eager hands. There's no table, no plates, just the ground and your fingers. You eat quickly, knowing the day's not over. The men return empty-handed this time, their faces tight with frustration. No meat today, but they'll try again tomorrow because giving up isn't an option. You all sit for a moment, the silence heavy, the hunger still there. Your filthy dirt caked under your nails, sweat drying in streaks down your arms. There's no bath, no soap, just a quick splash in a stream, if you're lucky. Privacy, that's a dream. You do what you need to behind a bush, hoping no one's looking, but out here survival trumps shame. The day stretches on, and you're already thinking about the next task. Maybe you'll try to trap a small animal weaving grass into a crude net, or sharpen a stick into a spear for tomorrow's hunt. Every hour is spent staying alive from the moment you wake to the moment you collapse under the stars. You don't have time to worry about the future, to wonder who you are or what it all means. There's only now the next step, the next bite, the next breath. And here's the twist, even the water you fought so hard to find might turn on you. It looks clear, sparkling in the sun, but unseen things lurk in it, tiny and vicious, ready to twist your insides into a nightmare. You drink because you must, but every sip is a roll of the dice. You've seen it before, someone strong. One day doubled over the next, their strength draining away as the group moves on. Out here, nothing's safe, not even the things you need most. This is your morning, your day, your life, every moment, a dance with death, every choice, a fight to see another sunrise. The food chain hates you. The air is thick with the scent of dust and distant rain, but you barely notice because your eyes are locked on the horizon. You're crouched low in the tall grass, your heart hammering so loud it feels like the world can hear it. Somewhere out there a low growl rumbles, and it's not the kind that promises a friendly encounter. You're not the king of this land, not even close. You're just another creature scrambling to stay alive, and the wild things around you with their sharp teeth and sharper instincts see you as nothing more than a meal on legs. Your hand grips a pointed stick, its tip chipped sharp with a rock, but it feels flimsy against the dangers lurking in the shadows. This is your world, where every step reminds you that the food chain doesn't care about your dreams or your courage. You move with your group, a small band of people who are all you have: your family, your strength, your only shot at making it through the day. The grass sways and you catch a glimpse of movements, a pack of wolves, their eyes glinting as they slink through the brush. They're not here to admire you. You've seen what they can do, tearing into a straggler before anyone could raise a spear. And it's not just wolves. Somewhere out there, big cats with claws like knives prowl their roars, carrying across the plains at night. Hyenas too, with jaws that crush bone, circle closer when they smell weakness. You've learned to watch for their tracks, to listen for their eerie laughs, because out here you're not the hunter half as often as you're the hunted. Today, though, hunger drives you to be bold. Your stomach is a tight knot. Days past the last decent meal, a few berries and a scrap of tough meat shared among too many mouths. The group needs food, something big enough to keep everyone going. You've spotted tracks, massive ones pressed deep into the mud. They belong to a beast with shaggy fur and tusks that could rip through you like dry leaves. It's a giant slow enough to track, but fast enough to kill if you're not careful. The older hunters whisper about it, their voices low, hands gesturing how to aim for its soft spots. You clutch your stick, its weight a small comfort, and follow their lead, your bare feet silent on the earth. The hunt is no game. You creep closer, the beast's bulk looming ahead, grazing unaware. Your mouth waters at the thought of meat, of warm blood, and full bellies, but fear claws at you. You've seen these creatures charge, their massive heads, swinging feet shaking the ground like thunder. One wrong move and you're not coming back. The hunters spread out, signalling with quick glances, their bodies low. A child barely taller than your waist moves with them, his small hands clutching a rock. He's no stranger to this. Kids learn early out here, taught to spot tracks or carry what the group finds. You see his wide eyes focused but scared. And remember, he's only a few summers old. There's no time for play, no soft childhood. He's part of the fight just like you. You hold your breath as the group closes in, your stick raised, every muscle coiled. The plan is simple: distract the beast, strike fast and pray it falls before it turns. But simple doesn't mean easy. The creature snorts, its head swinging toward you, and suddenly it's moving faster than you thought possible, a wall of fur and fury bearing down. You leap aside, the ground shaking as it charges past, its tusk missing you by inches. Someone shouts, a spear flies, and the beast roars, blood streaking its side. Your heart screams to run, but you can't. The group needs this kill, or the hunger will tighten its grip, pulling you all closer to the edge. Hours pass in a blur of fear and effort. The beast is weakening, but so are you, your arms burning, sweat stinging your eyes. Finally it stumbles, its massive body crashing to the ground, and a ragged cheer rises from the group. You're alive and there's food, more than you've seen in weeks. But the work's not done. You kneel, your stone knife slicing through thick hide hands slippery with blood. The children help, dragging smaller pieces, their faces smudged with dirt and determination. You work fast because the smell of death draws eyes. Flies are already buzzing, and in the distance you hear the yip of hyenas, their hunger as sharp as yours. You've got to move what you can before they arrive. Or worse, another group of people, desperate and armed, ready to fight for your prize. You think of the roots you dug up yesterday, your fingers raw from clawing at the hard earth. That's what kept you going when the last hunt failed. You've spent days like that, scouring the land for anything. A handful of bitter leaves, a nest of grubs, anything to dull the ache in your gut. The women in the group are masters at it, their eyes catching what you miss, pulling up plants or spotting fruit hidden in thorny branches. They carry babies while they work, their steps steady despite the weight, always watching for danger. You've seen them outrun danger, a mother sprinting with her child as a shadow lunged from the brush. They're the ones who keep the group alive when the spears come back empty, their quiet strength as vital as any hunter's. But even with their skill, the land can turn cruel. A dry season stretches on, the streams shrinking to trickles, the plants withering under a merciless sun. You felt the hunger deepen then, not just an ache, but a weight that slows your steps, clouds your thoughts. You've seen it claim the weak children, too small to keep up, elders whose strength faded. One bad season, and the group thins, faces you've known since you could walk gone forever. You don't have words for the grief, only the need to keep moving to find the next meal before it's too late. You haul the meat back to the camp, a clearing by a cluster of rocks where the group rests for now. The fire's low, just enough to cook, and you tear into the meat, its warmth filling you with something close to hope. But even this victory is fragile. The air hums with insects drawn to the blood, and you swat them away knowing they're only the start. The meat won't last without cold to keep it. It'll turn sour, fast crawling, with things you can't see but feel in your gut later. You eat what you can share with the others, but the thought of losing this to rot or thieves gnaws at you. You've seen other groups before, their eyes hard with the same hunger ready to swing a club for what's yours. Out here, nothing's guaranteed, not even the food you fought for. Your day is spent like this, every moment a gamble. You're not at the top of anything, just a link in a chain that could snap at any time. The wolves don't care about your cleverness. The big cats don't respect your courage. And the land itself seems to want you gone. You're alive because you're stubborn, because you move when you want to collapse, because the people beside you share the load. You look at the child beside you, his small hands still clutching a rock, learning the same hard truths you've carried. This is your world, raw and unyielding, where every bite is a battle won, and every day is a fight to stay out of the jaws of something hungrier than you. Medicine. LOL. Good luck. Your head throbs a dull, relentless pain that pulses with every step you take across the rocky ground. Sweat beads on your forehead, not just from the sun beating down, but from the fever creeping through your body. You grit your teeth trying to focus on the path ahead, the dry grass scratching at your legs. There's no bottle of pills to reach for, no doctor waiting with a clean bandage or soothing words. Out here in this raw, untamed world, pain is your companion, and the only help you've got is the group around you, and maybe the old woman who knows the plants. You wince, hoping she's got something to ease this, but deep down you know the truth. If this gets worse, you're on your own. The air smells of dust and the faint tang of something rotting nearby, a reminder of how fragile life is. You're part of a small band of people huddled in a clearing near a river. The waters rush, the only sound louder than your own uneven breaths. Your hand brushes against a cut on your arm, crusted with dirt from a fall a few days ago. It's swollen now, hot to the touch, and the redness is spreading. You've seen this before, someone else with a wound like yours, their strength fading as the fever took hold, their eyes glazing over before the group had to move on without them. There's no clean water to wash it, no cloth to bind it. Just the hope it doesn't turn into something that pulls you under. You glance at the old woman, her hair streaked with grey, her hands gnarled from years of work. She's one of the rare ones, someone who's seen more than 40 summers. Her face a map of lines and scars that tell stories the younger ones can only guess at. She's crouched by the fire, grinding leaves with a stone, her eyes sharp despite the years. The group listens to her not just because she's old, but because she's survived through hunger, through cold, through dangers that claimed others. She knows which plants might cool a fever or dull a pain, but her remedies are a gamble. You've tasted her brews before, bitter and gritty, and sometimes they help, easing the ache in your gut. Other times they leave you doubled over, vomiting into the dirt, wondering if the cure was worse than the sickness. You sit near her, the pain in your head spiking with every heartbeat. She hands you a handful of crushed leaves wrapped in a broad waxy leaf and motions for you to chew. The taste is sharp, like biting into the earth itself, and you force it down hoping it does something. She mutters under her breath. Words you don't fully understand, something about spirits or the sky. You don't argue out here, you take what you can get. There's no one else to turn to, no healer with tools or knowledge beyond what the group carries in their heads. You've heard stories of others people who try to fix the sick by cutting into them using sharp stones to dig into flesh or bone. You shudder, imagining the pain, the blood, the risk of never waking up. Your teeth ache too, a deep gnawing pain that's been growing for weeks. One molar feels wrong, loose and sharp, and every bite of tough root or stringy meat sends a jolt through your jaw. You've seen what happens when teeth go bad. Swelling that turns a face unrecognizable. Pain that drives someone to stop eating, stop moving, until they're gone. There's no one to pull the tooth, no way to clean the rot. You press your tongue against it, wincing, and try to focus on the old woman's voice, her hands steady as she works. She's the closest thing you have to hope, but even she can't fix everything. You think of the man who fell last season, his leg snapping when he slipped on wet rocks. The group carried him for days, his cries echoing through the trees, but there was nothing to set the bone, nothing to ease the pain except a few herbs that made him sleep. The wound turned sour, the smell of it heavy in the air, and soon he was silent, his body left behind as the group moved on. You've seen it too many times, cuts that fester, fevers that burn, bones that never heal right. Every injury is a threat, every sickness a shadow that could swallow you whole. The old woman notices your discomfort and beckons you closer. She points to your head, her eyes narrowing, and you feel a chill. You've heard of what some do for pains like yours, when the head throbs so bad it feels like it'll split. They take a sharp stone chip away at the skull trying to let the pain out, or maybe the spirits they blame for it. You've seen the skulls, some with holes neat as a bird's egg, others jagged and broken. Not everyone survives it. You've heard the screams, seen the blood pooling in the dirt, the person lying still as the group waits, hoping they'll rise. The old woman doesn't suggest it yet, but the thought hangs between you, heavy as the fever in your veins. You look at the others in the group, their faces etched with the same weariness. There's a young girl, her hands busy weaving grass into a mat, her fingers quick despite the cuts on them. She's learning from the old woman, watching every move, because one day she'll be the one the group turns to. There's a man, his arm scarred from a long ago fight, limping slightly as he carries wood for the fire. He's strong, but you know he's slowing, and out here that makes him a weight the group can't always carry. The old woman, though, is different. Her knowledge makes her vital, even if her steps are careful, her strength fading. She's a guide, a memory of what works and what doesn't, but even she can't outrun the land's cruelty forever. You think of the world you're in, so different from anything soft or safe. Your last meal was a handful of berries tart and barely enough, and the water you drank from the river left a strange taste in your mouth. There's no clean bed to rest, in no walls to keep the dangers out. Your body is your only tool, and when it breaks, you're at the mercy of the plants, the spirits, and the hands of those around you. You've seen people try to fight the pain with chants, with offerings to the sky, believing the sickness is a curse to be lifted. You don't know if it's true, but you've joined them, your voice low, hoping for anything to tip the scales in your favour. The day wears on, and you force yourself to move to help with the tasks that keep the group alive. You gather wood, your head still pounding, your arm throbbing where the cut festers. The old woman watches you, her expression unreadable, and you wonder if she's weighing whether you'll make it. You've seen her make those choices before, deciding who gets the last of the herbs, who's strong enough to keep going. You don't want to be the one left behind, but the thought creeps in, cold and heavy. Here's the kicker: even the people trying to help you might make it worse. The old woman with her leaves and her chants believes she's chasing away the bad spirits in your head. The man with the sharp stone ready to carve into your skull thinks he's setting you free. They're doing their best, but out here best isn't always enough. Every remedy is a roll of the dice, every cure a step into the unknown. You chew the leaves, swallow the bitterness, and hope this time the pain will fade. But in this world where every day is a fight, hope is all you've got, and even that might not be enough to keep you breathing under the wide, uncaring sky. Your social life sucks. The fire crackles low, casting flickering shadows across the faces of the group huddled around it. You're sitting on the hard ground, a thin hide wrapped around your shoulders, the night's chill seeping into your bones. The air smells of smoke and sweat, and every pair of eyes in this small circle, maybe 30 people, your entire world, seems to know exactly what you did today. You shifted a little too close to someone's pile of berries, or maybe your glance lingered too long on someone who's already spoken for. Now there's a tension in the air, a weight in the stares, and your stomach twists, not just from hunger, but from the fear of what those looks might mean. This isn't a place where mistakes are forgiven easily, and out here one wrong step could mean you're cast out, left to face the dark alone. You're part of this group, this tight knot of people who share everything: food, danger, survival. There's no hiding, no corner to slip away to when tempers flare. Everyone knows you, from the way you sharpen your spear to the way you snore when you sleep. You rely on them to watch your back when the wolves circle, to share the meat when the hunt goes well. But that closeness cuts both ways. You feel their eyes when you take an extra bite of roots, hear the low murmurs when you stumble during a hunt. Trust is everything. But it's fragile, and you've seen what happens when it breaks. A man who took more than his share of a kill, his hands greedy as he stuffed meat into his mouth. He was gone the next day, sent into the wild with nothing but a bruised face and the group's silence. You don't know if he survived the night, but you know the odds out here alone means dead. You shift on the ground, your bare feet tucked under you, trying to shake the unease. The group is small, just enough to hold off danger, but not so big you can blend into the crowd. Every choice matters, every word or lack of one carries weight. You don't have a language like the ones you might dream of. No words written on stone or whispered in secret. You communicate with sounds, sharp grunts, and quick gestures of your hands. A pointed finger means danger. A raised palm means stop. But it's easy to miss the meaning, to see a warning as an insult. You've seen fights spark that way. Two men swinging clubs over a misunderstanding, blood spilling, before anyone could pull them apart. Out here, a mistake like that doesn't just bruise your pride, it can end you. You glance at the woman across the fire, her hands busy weaving grass into a basket. She's strong, her arms steady from years of carrying children, and digging roots, but her eyes are sharp, catching every move. You smiled at her, earlier, a small gesture, but now you wonder if it was a mistake. Her man is nearby, his spear resting across his knees, his gaze heavy when it lands on you. You've seen what jealousy can do, fists flying, shouts echoing. And sometimes worse. A woman who strayed too close to another's partner was pushed out once her cries fading as the group turned their backs. You swallow hard, keeping your eyes on the fire, knowing one wrong move could make you the next story, whispered around the flames. The group needs you, but they're also your rivals. You all want the same things: food, warmth, safety, and there's never enough to go around. You felt the sting of competition, the way a successful hunt can shift the balance. The man who brings down a deer is praised his share of the meat, a little bigger, his voice a little louder in the group's decisions. But you've also seen the envy in others' eyes, the way they watch him waiting for a mistake. You've learnt to share to keep the peace, but it's not always enough. You took a small antelope, once your spear finding its mark after hours of tracking, and the pride swelled in your chest until you caught another hunter's glare, his hand tightening on his club as you divided the meat. You gave him an extra piece, hoping to avoid trouble, but the memory lingers. A reminder that every victory comes with a cost. Beyond the fire's light, the world is vast and hostile. You've seen strangers before, lone figures moving across the plains or shadows from another group, their spears glinting in the sun. They're not friends. The group's stories are clear outsiders, bring trouble, stealing food, or worse. You've heard of clashes of blood spilled over a watering hole or a fresh kill. When you spot a stranger, your hand tightens on your spear, your body ready to act. You've seen it happen: a lone wanderer, approaching, his hands empty but his eyes desperate. The group closed ranks, their voices rising in warning, and when he didn't turn away, the stones flew. You don't know if he survived, but you know the rule: protect your own, because no one else will. You think of the children, their small forms curled near the fire, already learning the group's ways. They watch everything, mimicking the adults' gestures, practicing with tiny spears made from sticks. They're not shielded from the truth, they know the cost of stealing, the danger of straying too far. You've seen a boy barely old enough to carry a basket scolded for sneaking a berry from the group's pile. His mother's hand was swift, her voice sharp, teaching him the lesson: early, take only what's yours, or you'll lose everything. The kids grow up fast, their eyes sharp with the same wariness you carry, because out here there's no room for innocence. You try to fit in to keep the group's rhythm. You share what you find: a handful of nuts, a strip of hide, and you join the work, whether it's scraping meat from a kill or piling rocks to shield the camp from the wind. But the rules are unspoken, and you're always learning them the hard way. You laughed too loud once, startling the group during a quiet moment, and the looks you got were colder than the night air. You've learnt to watch, to listen, to match the group's mood, because standing out can be as dangerous as falling behind. You've seen what happens to those who don't fit, the ones who argue too much, who take without giving. They're pushed out, their names fading, as the group moves on their fate, left to the wolves and the dark. The night deepens and you huddle closer to the fire, the group's warmth your only shield against the cold. You think of the world beyond, where every sound could be a threat, where survival depends on the people beside you. You've seen the cost of breaking that bond: a man cast out for stealing, a woman shunned for a betrayal, their figures vanishing into the dusk. Without the group, you're nothing, just a lone figure against a world that doesn't care. You've heard the howls at night, seen the bones scattered in the grass, and you know what happens to those who walk alone. Exile isn't just rejection, it's a death sentence, a ghosting so final, there's no coming back. You pull the hide tighter around you, the fire's glow, a small comfort. The group is your life, your safety, your cage. Every day is a dance of trust and tension, of working together while watching your back. You speak in grunts and gestures, hoping you're understood, knowing a misstep could spark a fight, or worse. You're tied to these people, bound by need, but the bond is as sharp as a spear's edge. Out here, your social life isn't about friends or fun. It's about surviving the eyes around the fire, the hands that could lift you up or cast you out, and the unspoken rules that decide whether you'll see another dawn. Fashion more like frostbite. The wind howls across the open plain, biting at your skin like a living thing, sharp and relentless. You pull the heavy hide closer around your shoulders, its rough edges scraping against your neck. It's the skin of some beast, maybe a deer or something bigger, stiff with dirt and smelling faintly of blood and earth. This is your only shield against the cold, a patchwork of fur and leather draped over you, held together with strips of sinew you threaded through with a bone needle. It's not a coat, not like anything soft or fitted. It's just weight heavy and awkward, slipping off one shoulder as you trudge through the frost-crusted grass. Your feet are bare, or nearly so wrapped in scraps of hide that do little to keep out the chill. Every step stings the ground hard and littered with sharp stones that cut into your soles. This is your world where staying warm is a fight and looking good is a dream you don't have time for. You're moving with the group. A small band of people hunched against the same bitter wind, their breath clouding in the air. The sky is grey heavy with the promise of snow, and you know what that means. Nights so cold, your fingers go numb, your toes ache like they're breaking. You felt it before, the kind of cold that creeps into your bones no matter how close you huddle to the fire. And the fire, it's a struggle every time. You've spent hours rubbing sticks together, your hands raw and bleeding, praying for a spark before the wind snuffs it out. Sometimes you get lucky, a small flame catching on dry grass, but more often you're left shivering in the dark, the hide around you damp from yesterday's rain, offering no warmth at all. You glance at the woman beside you, her hands busy, even as she walks. She's scraping a fresh hide with a sharp stone, her fingers steady, despite the cold. Her own covering is just as rough as yours, a mix of fur and leather, tied at the waist, patched where it's torn from thorns or rocks. She's the one who made it, and yours too, her hands threading sinew through holes she punched with a bone needle. It's slow work, backbreaking, and there's no praise for it, just the expectation that it's done. While the men are out chasing deer or facing down beasts with tusks, she's turning bloody hides into something. You can wear something that might keep you alive when the snow falls. You've seen her work through the night, her breath visible in the firelight, her baby asleep beside her as she stitches and scrapes, making sure the group doesn't freeze. Your own hide is starting to wear thin, the fur matted and patchy from months of use. You can feel the air slipping through it, chilling your skin, and you know you'll need a new one soon. That means another hunt, another kill, and hours of work to turn a stiff, bloody skin into something you can drape over your shoulders. You've helped before, your hands learning the rhythm, scrape, stretch, stitch, until your fingers ache and your nails are caked with grime. It's not pretty, not like the stories you might imagine of crafting something fine. The hides are heavy, the sinew slippery, and the smell never really goes away. You wear it because you have to, because the alternative is facing the wind with nothing but your skin. Your feet are another story. You've tied scraps of hide around them, bound with strips of grass, but they're barely protection. The ground is unforgiving, jagged rocks, frozen mud thorns that pierce through your makeshift shoes. Every step is a risk, a cut waiting to happen, and you felt the sting of frostbite before your toes, turning white and numb, the pain flaring when you try to warm them. You've seen others lose toes, even fingers, to the cold, their bodies marked by the land's cruelty. You move carefully, watching where you step, but there's no avoiding it entirely. Your feet are cracked and bleeding, your only pedicure, the dirt that grinds into every wound. You think of the last time the group stopped to rest near a river, where the women worked on hides while the men sharpened spears. You sat with them, learning to punch holes in the leather with a bone shard. Your hands clumsy at first. The woman teaching you didn't smile, but she nodded when you got it right, her hands guiding yours. She's the one who keeps the group clothed. Her knowledge as vital as any hunter's. You've seen her wrap a child in a small hide, her fingers quick to tie it snug, making sure the little one doesn't shiver. It's her work that holds the group together, but no one sings her name around the fire. You feel a pang of respect mixed with the weight of knowing you'll need to learn her skills, because out here everyone carries the load. The hide you're wearing itches, and you scratch at your arm, feeling the small crawling sensation you've come to know too well. The fur is alive with tiny pests burrowing into the seams, biting at your skin when you try to sleep. You've picked at them before, squashing what you can, but they're relentless. A constant reminder that even your protection comes with a price. You've seen the group huddle together at night, scratching and muttering the lice, a shared misery no one escapes. You try to ignore it, focusing on the path ahead, but the irritation is a nagging companion, as much a part of your life as the hunger or the cold. You look at the others, their own hides just as rough, just as worn. There's a man with a thick fur draped over his shoulders, the hide of something massive, its edges frayed from use. He's proud of it. You can tell his chest a little broader when he walks, but you know it's no warmer than yours, no cleaner. The children wear smaller versions, scraps tied around them, their skinny legs bare to the wind. Everyone's fighting the same battle, their bodies wrapped in whatever they could make from the land. There's no choice, no shop to wander into, no soft fabrics or bright colours. Your wardrobe is survival, nothing more, and every piece carries the story of the animal. It came from the hands that shaped it, the days it's kept you alive. The wind picks up, carrying the first flakes of snow, and you pull the hide tighter, knowing it won't be enough if the storm hits hard. You've lived through winters before nights when the cold was a knife cutting through everything, leaving you shaking even as you pressed against the others for warmth. You've seen what happens when the fire dies, when the hides aren't enough people who didn't wake their bodies stiff in the morning light. You move faster, hoping to reach the next camp before the snow deepens your feet, aching your skin, prickling, with the promise of worse to come. This is your life where every day is a battle against the elements, where your only armour is the skin of something you killed, shaped by hands as tired as your own. You wear it with a grim pride because it's proof you're still here, still fighting. But it's no fashion statement. It's a lifeline flawed and heavy, crawling with its own dangers. You trudge on the wind at your back, the hide your only shield. Knowing that out here looking good is the least of your worries. Staying alive is the only style that matters. Predators. Think you're tasty. The night is black as pitch, the kind of dark that swallows everything except the faint glow of the fire at your feet. You're crouched on a rocky outcrop, your body tense eyes straining to pierce the shadows beyond the camp. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and something sharper, maybe blood from the day's kill, maybe the musk of something watching you. Your hand grips a stick, sharpened to a point, its weight a flimsy comfort, against the sounds drifting from the dark, a low growl, a rustle of grass, the snap of a twig that makes your heart lurch. You're on watch tonight. The group's safety resting on your shoulders, and out here safety is a lie. The world is alive with things that see you as nothing more than a warm meal, and every moment you stay awake is a fight to keep the jaws at bay. The fire crackles its light, dancing across the faces of the group, huddled nearby their bodies, curled under hides, their breaths uneven in sleep. You envy them, but you can't close your eyes, not when you know what's out there. You've seen the tracks, massive paws, pressed into the mud claws longer than your fingers. Cats with teeth like daggers seek, and silent, their eyes glinting in the moonlight. Wolves too bigger than any dog, their howls carrying across the plains a promise of hunger that never sleeps. And the bears hulking shadows that could crush you with a swipe, their roars enough to freeze your blood. You're small in this world, your body soft compared to the giants that roam it, and your stick, no matter how sharp, feels like a child's toy against their strength. You shift your bare feet numb against the cold stone, your muscles aching from hours of stillness. The night is long, and sleep tugs at you, a dangerous temptation. You've heard the stories watchers who dozed only for the camp to wake to screams, and blood a friend gone dragged into the dark. You've seen the bones too scattered in the grass, human ribs marked with deep gouges, proof you're not at the top of anything. The group depends on you to keep the fire burning, to raise the alarm if the shadows move too close. You toss another branch onto the flames, sparks rising into the sky, and scan the darkness again, your heart pounding with every unexplained sound. You think of the day when the group moved across the open land, eyes always watching for danger. You've seen a cat take down a deer, its claws tearing through hide, like it was nothing, its jaws closing with a crunch that echoed in your dreams. You've heard the pack of wolves, their yips and snarls, surrounding a kill, their eyes locked on you when you got too close. You felt the ground shake under a bear's charge, its bulk unstoppable, scattering the group like leaves. Every hunt is a risk, every step a gamble, because you're not just hunting, you're being hunted. Your stick might pierce a deer's side, but against a predator's fury, it's little more than a gesture, a desperate hope to survive long enough to run. The children in the group know it too. You've seen them practice jabbing sticks at imaginary beasts, their small faces serious. They've heard the screams at night, seen the empty spaces where people used to be. They learn early to move quietly, to stay close, because straying too far means becoming a meal. You've watched a mother pull her child tight, her eyes scanning the horizon, her spear never far from her hand. The group is your strength, but even together you're no match for the giants out there. You've learnt to hide, to climb trees, to throw stones, and hope they scare something away. But sometimes nothing works, and all you can do is run your breath ragged, praying you're faster than the thing behind you. You think of the last camp near a river, where the group rested for a few days. The night was quiet until it wasn't. A roar split the air, and the ground trembled as something massive crashed through the brush. You were on watch then too, shouting to wake the others, your voice hoarse with panic. The group scrambled, spears raised, but the bear didn't care. It tore through the camp, scattering hides and breaking a man's arm before it lumbered off, drawn by the smell of fish in the river. You stayed awake until dawn, the fire high, your eyes burning with fear. You've seen what happens when the watch fails, and you carry that weight now knowing one mistake could end it all. The night stretches on, and you fight the heaviness in your limbs, the fog in your mind. You think of the world you're in where danger doesn't sleep. You've seen the megafauna creatures so big, they blot out the sun beasts with horns, tusks, or hooves that could crush you without noticing. You're small against them, your body fragile, your tools crude. You've learned to move with the group to use their numbers, but even that's not enough sometimes. You've found bones in caves, human ones cracked and chewed. A reminder that you're part of the feast, not above it. Every day is a lesson in humility, a reminder that the land doesn't care about your survival. But here's the twist, the one that keeps you awake even when the predators are silent. The worst threat isn't the cats, the wolves, or the bears. It's the people, the ones who look like you, but carry the same hunger, the same desperation. You've seen them, shadows moving across the hills, their spears sharp, their eyes hard. Another group, another band fighting for the same scraps of food, the same safe places to rest. You've heard the stories, camps raided at dawn, bodies left in the dirt, all for a kill or a watering hole. You've seen the marks on bones, not just from teeth, but from stones from human hands that struck to kill. The group is your life, but beyond it, others see you as prey, as competition to be crushed. You've felt the tension even within your own group. A hunter who took too much meat, his eyes daring anyone to challenge him. A woman who strayed too close to another's partner, the air thick with unspoken threats. You've seen fights break out, fists and clubs swinging, blood spilling over something as small as a stolen root. Out here where survival is everything, trust is a fragile thing, and betrayal cuts deeper than any claw. You watch the group as much as you watch the dark, knowing the danger can come from within, from the people you need most. The fire burns low, and you add another branch, your hands trembling from cold and exhaustion. The night is far from over, and the sounds are still there. Growls, rustles, the hum of a world that never rests. You're on guard, not just against the beasts, but against the human hearts that beat as fiercely as your own. This is your life, where every moment is a test, where the predators aren't just the ones with fangs. You grip your stick, your eyes locked on the dark, and wait for dawn, hoping you'll live to see it, knowing the real enemy might be closer than you think. Your home is a death trap. The damp chill of the cave seeps into your bones, a cold so deep it feels like it's part of you now. You're crouched on the uneven stone floor, the rough surface biting into your knees, a thin hide beneath you, doing little to soften the bite. The air smells of wet rock smoke, and the faint musk of the group pressed close around you, 20, maybe 30 people all crammed into this dim, rocky hollow. Outside, the wind howls, carrying the threat of rain, and you're grateful for the shelter such as it is. But gratitude is fleeting when every creak of the cave walls, every drip of water reminds you this place is no safe haven. It's a borrowed refuge, one wrong move away from becoming your grave. You shift, trying to find a spot where the floor doesn't jab into you, but it's no use. The cave is cramped, the air thick with the sounds of the group. Low murmurs, a child's whimper, someone coughing in the dark. There's no space to stretch out, no corner to call your own. You're shoulder to shoulder with the others, their warmth a necessity against the cold, but their closeness a constant weight. You hear everything, feel everything. The rustle of a hide, as someone turns, the sharp cry of a baby, the heavy breathing of the man beside you. Privacy is a dream you've never known, and the closeness breeds tension. Small arguments flaring over a misplaced foot or a spilled handful of berries. The walls loom around you, jagged and glistening with moisture. You've seen what they can do, rocks tumbling loose in the night, a low rumble that sends everyone scrambling. You've heard stories of other groups, their caves collapsing, burying them under stone before they could scream. You try not to think about it, but every crack in the rock feels like a warning. The ground is damp too, a thin puddle pooling near the entrance where the rain sneaks in. You've moved your hide twice already, but the water follows, soaking into everything, making the cold even crueler. You've felt the ache of sleeping on wet ground, the way it clings to your skin, leaving you shivering long after the sun rises. You glance at the fire, a small pile of burning branches near the cave's mouth, its light pushing back the shadows. It's your lifeline, the only thing keeping the darkness and the cold at bay. You've spent hours gathering wood, your hands scratched and bleeding from breaking dry branches, your back aching from carrying the load. Starting the fire was another battle, rubbing sticks, until your palms blistered, coaxing a spark into flame while the group watched, silent and hopeful. Now it burns low, and you're careful to feed it, knowing without it the night would be unbearable. But the fire has its own dangers. The smoke curls upward, stinging your eyes, catching in your throat. You cough your chest tight, and you're not alone. Others hack and wheeze the smoke. A slow poison you can't escape in this tight space. You think of the animals that roam outside, the ones that see this cave as theirs. You found their marks before claw scratches on the walls, piles of scat in the corners. A bear could wander in its bulk, filling the entrance, its roar scattering the group. You've seen what happens when a big cat claims a cave, its eyes glinting as it lunges. The group fights to keep this spot, piling rocks at the entrance, keeping the fire bright, but it's a constant battle. You've woken to the sound of growls, your heart racing as you gripped your sharpened stick, ready to defend what little you have. This cave is shelter, but it's also a trap drawing the very dangers you're trying to escape. The group is your family, your survival, but living this close wears on you. You see the woman across the fire, her hands busy scraping a hide, her baby strapped to her back. She's tired, her eyes sunken, but she keeps working because stopping isn't an option. Her older child huddles beside her, picking at a root, his small body already marked with the dirt and scratches of this life. You hear their voices low and constant blending with the others, arguments over space, complaints about the damp, the endless struggle to keep the group together. You felt the sickness that spreads in places like this, a fever that jumps from one to another, leaving the weak behind. You've seen it take children. Their small forms still in the morning, and you know the cave's closeness makes it worse, the air heavy with shared breaths and shared dangers. You think of other shelters the group has used, none better than this. Sometimes it's a lean-to, a few branches propped against a rock, offering no real protection from the wind or rain. Other times it's nothing, just the open sky, the group curled together under hides, praying the night doesn't turn deadly. You felt the rain soak through everything, the cold so deep you thought you'd never warm again. You've woken to frost on your skin, your fingers too stiff to move. Every place you rest is temporary. A pause before the group moves on, driven by hunger or danger. There's no home, not like you might dream of, just a series of traps, each one a little different, each one ready to betray you. You stoke the fire, careful to keep the flames steady, but the fear lingers. You've seen what happens when the fire grows too wild, a spark catching on a dry hide, a gust of wind turning the flames against you. You've heard of groups burned out, their shelters turned to ash, their bodies lost to the very thing they needed most. You watch the flames, your eyes burning from the smoke, knowing they're both your salvation and your doom. You've learned to sleep lightly, one ear open for the crackle that means trouble, one hand near your stick in case the night brings something worse. You look at the group, their faces worn but alive, their bodies pressed close in this fragile refuge. You feel the weight of it all, the cave's dangers, the fire's risks, the constant press of people who are both your strength and your burden. You've seen what happens when things go wrong. A flood that sweeps through a rockfall, that crushes a sickness that spreads like wildfire. This isn't a home, not in any way that feels safe. It's a gamble, a place to survive until the next move, until the next fight. And the worst part, that fire you're tending, the one keeping you alive, could turn on you in a heartbeat, a single spark enough to burn it all down. You huddle closer to the flames, the smoke in your lungs, the cold at your back, and pray this death trap holds for one more night. Childbirth, a gamble with death. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and smoke, the cave's walls closing in as you kneel on a rough hide, your body gripped by a pain so fierce it steals your breath. Sweat beads on your skin, mixing with the dirt smudged across your arms, and your hands clutch at the ground, fingers digging into the cold stone. The pain comes in waves, each one sharper than the last, and you bite your lip until you taste blood, trying not to scream. You're surrounded by the group, their faces blurred in the dim firelight. But there's no doctor here, no clean tools, just an older woman with weathered hands, and a low voice muttering words you barely hear. This is childbirth, raw and unforgiving, and out here it's as much a brush with death as any hunt or storm. You're fighting for two lives now yours, and the one trying to come into this brutal world. The group is quiet, their eyes flickering between worry and hope, but you feel their presence, a circle of bodies pressed close in the cramped cave. The older woman kneels beside you, her hands steady as she presses a damp leaf to your forehead. Its coolness a fleeting relief. She's done this before, helped others through this moment. But you've seen the other side, women who didn't rise, babies who never cried. You've heard their screams echo through the night, seen the group move on, leaving shallow graves in the dirt. The pain surges again, and you gasp, your body shaking. knowing this could be your end, that the life inside you might never see the sun. You're not alone, but you feel the weight of it. All the group's survival, the child's future, the endless tasks that wait even now. You've spent the day gathering roots, your back aching as you bent low, thorns snagging your skin. You carried a basket of berries, your hands stained purple while keeping one eye on the horizon for danger. You've done it all with the child growing inside you, your body slowing but never stopping, because out here there's no rest for anyone. The group expects you to keep going. Birth the child, feed it. Carry it all while dodging the wolves and the cold. You've seen other women do it, their faces lined with exhaustion, their arms cradling one child while another clings to their side, small hands already learning to gather. The older woman presses a hand to your belly, her touch firm, guiding you through the pain. She offers no soft words, only gestures, and a handful of herbs, their bitter taste lingering as you chew. You trust her because you have to. She's the closest thing to help in this world, her knowledge passed down from others who survived. But you know it's a gamble. You've seen her try to save others, her hands quick but helpless, when the bleeding wouldn't stop or the baby wouldn't breathe. There's no clean water, no bandages, just the dirt and the fire, and the hope that your body can do what it must. You grit your teeth, pushing through another wave, your voice breaking into a low moan that echoes off the cave walls. You think of the children you've seen, their small bodies toughened by this life but so fragile. You've watched them toddle through the grass, their laughter, sharp and brief, cut off by a mother's warning to stay close. You've seen how many don't make it, fevers that burn through them, falls that break their small bones, or hunger that leaves them too weak to cry. Half the children born to the group are gone before they're old enough to carry a basket, their lives snuffed out by a world that doesn't care. You've helped dig the small graves, your hands shaking, as you piled stones, the group's silence heavier than the earth. You want this child to live to grow, but the fear is there, sharp as the pain, that it might not survive the first winter. The group depends on you, on every woman who brings new life. You've seen the older women, their bodies marked by the strain of birth. After birth, their strength, a quiet force that holds the group together. They gather, they carry, they teach even as their bodies ache, even as they bleed. You've watched them rise after childbirth, their faces pale but determined, wrapping their newborns in hides and returning to the work that never stops. You know that's your path too, if you make it through this. The pain spikes and you cry out, the sound raw, the older woman's hands guiding you, urging you to push, to fight. You think of the world waiting outside, a place of teeth and cold and hunger. You've seen mothers run from danger, their children strapped to their backs, their spears raised against shadows in the grass. You've seen them share their food, giving the last berries to their little ones, their own stomachs empty. You've felt the bond between them, the way they watch each other's children, the way they grieve together when one is lost. But you've also seen the strain, the way the group looks to the mothers, expecting them to keep the future alive while the present tries to kill them. You want to be that strength to hold your child close, but the pain is a storm and you're not sure you'll reach the other side. The fire burns low, its smoke stinging your eyes, and the cave feels smaller, the walls pressing in. The older woman's voice is steady, her hands sure, but you see the worry in her eyes, the same worry you've seen before. You've heard the stories of women who bled too much, of babies, born still, of moments when no amount of herbs or prayers could change the outcome. You push again, your body trembling, your strength fading, and you feel the shift, the moment when everything hangs in the balance. The group is silent, their breaths held, and then a cry, sharp and small, cutting through the cave. The older woman moves quickly, wrapping the child in a hide, placing it in your arms. You're shaking, tears mixing with sweat, but you're alive, and so is the child. You hold the small, warm body, its cries a fragile promise, but the relief is tempered by the truth. You've survived this gamble, but the world outside is waiting, ready to test you again. You'll rise soon, your body weak, but forced to move, to gather, to carry, to protect. You'll watch this child, every moment knowing the dangers that lurk, a cold that could steal its breath, a predator that could snatch it from your side, a hunger that could weaken it beyond saving. You've seen the graves, the small piles of stones, and you know the odds. You'll fight for this child, pour your strength into it, but out here survival is never promised. The group stirs, their faces softening as they see the child, but you feel the weight of what's to come. You'll bind the baby to your back, your hands busy, with the same tasks as before, your eyes always watching for danger. You'll share what little you have, teach the child the group's ways, and hope it grows strong enough to face this world. But the fear lingers, a shadow, as real as the pain still pulsing through you. You've won this battle, but the war is endless and the child in your arms is already a target for a world that hungers for everything. You hold it closer, the fire's warmth, a small defiance and brace for the fight that never ends. Hygiene. What's that? The itch on your arm is relentless. A burning prickle that's been there for days, hidden under a layer of grime so thick your skin looks like the earth itself. You're crouched by a sluggish stream, the water murky with silt, your hands scooping it up to splash your face. It's cold, stinging the cuts on your fingers, and it smells faintly of rot, but it's all you've got. Your hair is matted heavy with dust, and grease tangled into clumps that snag on every branch you pass. Your teeth ache, a dull throb from the bits of root and meat stuck in them, and your breath carries a sourness you can't escape. This is your life where cleanliness is a fantasy, and every day you're coated in the land's dirt, carrying its weight in your paws, your nails, your very bones. Welcome to a world where hygiene isn't a choice. It's a dream you don't even know to dream. You're part of a small group, huddled in a clearing where the grass is trampled flat, the air thick with the smells of sweat smoke and the hides you wear. You're all filthy, every face smudged, every hand blackened from work. There's no soap, no cloth to scrub with, just the occasional dip in a river or stream when you can spare the time. But the water's no friend. You've seen what it carries, flecks of dirt, tiny, wriggling things you try not to think about. You drink it anyway because thirst is a fiercer enemy than whatever's in the current. You've felt the aftermath, your stomach twisting, your body weak for days, a reminder that even the water you need can turn on you. You scratch at your arm again, feeling the small crawling sensation that's become part of you. Your skin is a map of irritations, red patches, scabs, bites from insects that never leave you alone. You've picked at them, squashed what you could, but they're everywhere, burrowing into your hides, biting when you try to sleep. The group shares this misery, their hands scratching as they work, their coughs echoing in the night. You've seen the rashes spread angry and raw, and you've felt the worms in your gut a squirming that makes you gag but can't be stopped. Out here, your body is a host to things you can't see, and every itch, every ache is a battle you're losing. Your teeth are worse, a constant pain that flares when you chew. One feels loose, sharp against your tongue, and the gum around it is swollen hot to the touch. You've seen what happens when teeth go bad. Faces swollen, eyes feverish, people wasting away because they can't eat. There's no one to pull the tooth, no way to clean the rot. You've tried scraping your teeth with a stick, but it's no use. The grime is part of you now, coating your mouth, your throat. You've smelled the breath of the others as foul as your own, and you know there's no escaping it. Your smile, if you ever had one, is long gone, replaced by a grimace that hides the pain. You look at the group, their bodies marked by the same struggles. There's a man across the fire, his cough deep and rattling his face, pale despite the sun's burn. He's been like this for days, and the group's eyes are wary, their distance growing. You've seen it before, sickness makes you a risk, a weight. The group can't always carry. You've watched the sick pushed to the edges, left to fend for themselves when the fever didn't break or the wounds wouldn't heal. You've helped carry bodies to shallow graves, their skin hot even in death. And you know the group's survival comes first. If you fall ill, if the itch on your arm turns to something worse, you could be next, your place among them, traded for their safety. You think of the last time you tried to clean yourself, wading into a river until the water reached your waist. The current was strong, pulling at your legs, and the cold stole your breath. You scrubbed with your hands, the dirt loosening, but never fully gone, and you felt the eyes of the group watching, impatient for you to finish. Time spent cleaning is time, not gathering, not hunting, and the group needs you moving. You've seen the women work through their own pain, their hands busy even as their bodies weaken, their children clinging to them, small and just as dirty. You've watched them share what little they have, their eyes sharp for danger, their bodies carrying the same parasites, the same sores. The water you drank this morning sits heavy in your gut, and you wonder what it carried. You've seen the group suffer, after drinking from a bad stream, vomiting, shaking some, never rising again. You've learned to sip slowly, to watch the others first. But there's no choice when the thirst takes hold. You've felt the fever before, the way it burns through you, leaving you curled on the ground. The group's voice is distant as they decide whether to wait or move on. You've seen the children suffer most, their small bodies too weak to fight the sickness, their mothers' cries sharp in the night. You carry the weight of those losses, the stones piled over small graves, the group's silence heavier than the dirt. You move through the day, your body a canvas of filth and pain. You gather roots, your hands raw from digging the dirt, caking under your nails. You help Skinner kill the blood, mixing with the grime on your arms, the smell clinging to you. You feel the eyes of the group, their own struggles mirrored in yours, and you know there's no escape from this. You've tried to ease the itching with leaves, to dull the toothache with herbs, but it's a losing fight. The older woman who knows the plants offers what she can: bitter roots, crushed leaves. But her remedies are as likely to sicken as to soothe. You chew what she gives you, the taste like ash, and hope it's enough to keep you going. The worst part hits you. As you sit by the fire, the group's warmth a small comfort against the night's chill. This life, this natural way of being, is why you're never clean, never healthy. Your body is a breeding ground for things that crawl and fester your water, a poison you can't avoid, your air, thick with the group's shared sickness. You're alive, but you're a walking wound, every step a fight against the unseen enemies in your skin, your gut, your blood. You've seen the strong fall, their bodies betraying them, and you know you're no different. You scratch at your arm, the itch a reminder of what you carry and brace for another day, in a world where hygiene is a word you'll never know, and survival is the only victory that matters. War was personal and brutal. The air is thick with dust, and the sharp tang of blood, your heart pounding as you crouch behind a jagged rock, your hands slick with sweat around a heavy wooden club. The sun beats down, burning your skin, but you barely notice. Your eyes are locked on the figures moving across the plain, their spears glinting in the light. They're not your people. They're strangers. Another group, their faces hard with the same hunger and desperation driving you. The ground between you is scarred with footprints and broken branches, a silent promise of what's coming. You've heard their shouts, seen their weapons raised, and you know this isn't a misunderstanding to be talked away. This is about the river. You both need the deer you both tracked, or maybe just an old grudge that's burned longer than you've been alive. Out here, conflict is as close as the next breath, and it's not fought with rules or mercy. It's personal, raw, and brutal. You're with your group, a tight knot of 20 or so, your family, your only shield against the world. You've grown up with them, shared their fires, their food, their fears. But now your hands tremble as you grip the club. Its weight solid, but no match for the fear clawing at your chest. Your weapons are simple sticks, sharpened to point stones chipped into crude blades. Your own fists when nothing else is left. There's no armour, just the hide draped over your shoulders, already torn from yesterday's hunt. You've seen what these fights do: blood soaking into the dirt, bodies left where they fall, skulls cracked open like dry wood. You found the bones before scattered in the grass, some with holes from spears, others shattered by blows that carried all the rage of survival. The strangers are closer now, their voices rising in sharp, angry bursts. You don't know their words, but you feel their intent, the same as yours: take what's needed, protect what's yours, or die trying. You've heard the stories from the older ones, tales of fights over a watering hole, a patch of berry bushes, or a slight no one could forget. You've seen it spark over less, a stolen kill. A glance that lingered too long. A child from one group wandering too close to another. Out here, where every scrap of food, every safe place to sleep, is a prized piece, is a fleeting thing broken by the weight of want. You tighten your grip, your knuckles white, knowing this fight could end you. But turning back isn't an option. You glance at the woman beside you, her spear raised, her face set in grim determination. She's fought before, her arm scarred from a blow that nearly took her. She's the one who taught you to aim for the soft spots, eyes, throat, belly, because hesitation means death. The group moves as one, spreading out, using the rocks and trees for cover, your steps silent, despite the pounding in your chest. You've trained for this, practiced swinging your club, throwing stones, dodging the blows of your own people in mock fights. But this is real, and the strangers aren't holding back. You see one of them, a man with a stone axe, his eyes locked on you, and for a moment you're not just fighting for the group, you're fighting him, his hunger, his will to live. The clash comes fast, a blur of shouts and motion. A spear flies past, grazing your arm, the pain sharp but distant as you swing your club, catching a stranger's shoulder. He stumbles, but another is on you, his fist crashing into your jaw, stars bursting in your vision. You taste blood, feel the ground under you as you fall, but you roll, scrambling to your feet, your club swinging again. Around you the fight is chaos. Bodies colliding, weapons flashing, cries of pain and rage. You see a friend go down, his head split open and your stomach lurches, but there's no time to grieve. You dodge a stone throw, one of your own, and keep moving because stopping is death. You've heard what happens to those who lose, the ones who don't die on the spot. You've seen captives taken, their hands bound with strips of hide, their eyes wide with fear. Some are forced to work carrying loads or scraping hides, their lives no longer their own. Others face worse, left as offerings to the spirits, their blood spilled to seal a victory. You found their bones too marked with cuts that weren't from animals, proof that mercy is a stranger here. You fight harder, your breath ragged, knowing capture is no better than death, that the group's survival depends on driving these strangers back on, making them pay for every step they took toward your river. The fight shifts your group, gaining ground, the strangers falling back. You see one of them run, his spear dropped, and you feel a surge of hope, but it's tempered by the cost. The ground is littered with the fallen, your people, their people, blood mixing with the dirt. You're bruised, bleeding, your arm throbbing, where the spear grazed you, but you're alive. And that's more than some can say. The group gathers, checking wounds, mourning the lost, their faces tight with the weight of it all. You've won for now, but the victory is hollow. The river is yours, but the strangers might return, or others will come drawn by the same need that drives you. You think of the group's children watching from a safe distance, their small faces pale but learning. They've seen this before, know the cost of survival, the way a fight can change everything. You've watched them practice with sticks, mimicking the blows you've dealt. Their game's a shadow of this brutal truth. They'll grow into this world where every conflict is a wound, every victory a burden. You feel the weight of it, the way the group looks to the strong, expecting them to fight, to bleed, to keep the others safe. You've seen the women patch wounds, their hands steady, despite their own pain, their voices low as they mourn. The worst part settles over you as you catch your breath. The group's silence heavy around the fire that night. You've won, but at what cost? The group is smaller now, the ones who fell leaving gaps that can't be filled. The strangers you drove off left behind their own, and you've taken what they had, eyed spears, a few scraps of food. But it's more mouths to feed, more bodies to protect in a world that's already stretched thin. You've seen the hunger in the group's eyes, the way they ration the berries, the meat knowing it won't last. Victory means survival, but it also means carrying the weight of those who depend on you in a land that offers nothing for free. You sit by the fire, your club at your side, the pain in your arm, a dull reminder of the fight. The group is quiet, their wounds bandaged with leaves, their eyes on the dark beyond the flames. You know this isn't the end. Another group, another fight, another grudge waits out there, as certain as the sun's rise. You've seen the bones, the skulls split by stones, the ribs pierced by spears. Proof that this is your world where war isn't distant or clean. It's you, your hands, your blood, your people against everyone else. You grip your club tighter. The fire's warmth no match for the chill of knowing the real prize of winning is just another day to fight in a world that's always ready to take everything you've got. Religion was terrifying. The sky is bruised with dark clouds, the air heavy with the threat of a storm that could drown the land or pass without a drop. You're crouched in a clearing, the ground rough under your knees, your hands trembling as you clutch a small stone, carved with scratches that mean something to the group. The wind howls, tugging at the hide draped over your shoulders, and you feel the weight of unseen eyes. Not just the groups, but something bigger, something in the trees, the rocks, the sky itself. Everything around you is alive, pulsing with spirits that watch, judge, and demand. You've been taught they're in the river that gives you fish, the fire that warms you, the clouds that withhold their rain. And right now they're angry, they're wrath, the shadow over the group. And you're part of the desperate effort to make them listen, to beg for mercy in a world where every gust of wind feels like a warning of worse to come. You're surrounded by the group, their faces tight with fear, their bodies swaying in a rhythm that matches the low, guttural chants rising from their throats. The older man leading the ritual, his hair wild and streaked with ash, stands at the centre, his eyes half closed as he calls to the spirits. He's the one who speaks for them, the one who knows their moods, or so he claims. His hands are raised, holding a bundle of dried grasses that smoke and sputter, the sharp smell stinging your eyes. You've seen him do this before, dance chants, offer things to the unseen, all to keep the group safe, to bring the rain, to drive away the sickness. But you've also seen it fail, the sky staying dry, the fever spreading, and the group's eyes turning on him, their fear sharpening into blame. You join the chant, your voice hoarse, because not joining feels like inviting the spirit's wrath. You've grown up with these beliefs, taught that every tree has a voice, every animal a will, every storm a purpose. The river that dried up last season, it was angry, the older man said, because someone took too many fish. The child who didn't wake. A spirit claimed her, punishing the group for some forgotten wrong. You don't know if it's true, but you feel the fear, the need to do something, anything to keep the world from turning against you. You've seen the group offer what they have, berries a fresh kill, even blood from their own hands laid out on the ground left for the spirits to take. You've watched them dance until they collapse, their bodies slick with sweat, hoping the movement would please the unseen. The older man's voice rises sharp and urgent, and you feel the group's tension spike. The rain hasn't come, the plants are withering, and the animals have moved beyond your reach. The group is hungry, their faces gaunt, and the spirits are the only ones who can fix it, or so you're told. You've seen what happens when the spirits stay silent. You've watched the group fast, refusing even the smallest root, their bodies weakening as they begged for a sign. You've felt the hunger yourself, the way it twists your gut, makes your head light, all in the hope that denying yourself will make the clouds open. You've seen them offer more than food, a deer's heart, its blood pooling in the dirt, or worse, a life someone chosen to appease the spirit's endless hunger. You shudder, the memory of those moments heavy, the group's silence louder than any chant. You think of the older man, the one they call the seer, the one who carries the group's hopes and fears. He's powerful, his words shaping what you do, where you go. When he speaks of the spirits, you listen because he's the bridge between you and the unseen. But you've seen the cost of his role. A failed ritual, a hunt that came back empty, and the group's eyes turn on him, their whispers sharp with doubt. You've heard of others like him cast out, or worse, their bodies left as offerings when the spirits didn't answer. He dances now, his feet pounding the earth, his voice cracking as he pleads. And you wonder if he believes, or if he's just as scared as you, performing for a group that needs something to hold on to. You move with the others, your body swaying, your hands clapping in time with the chant. The ritual is all you have, the only way to face a world that feels alive with anger. You've seen the group carve stones, paint their bodies with ash, offer their own blood to the earth, all to keep the spirits calm. You've felt the fear that drives it, the way a storm can make you tremble, the way a dry season can feel like a curse. You've joined the dances, your feet blistered, your throat raw, hoping the spirits see your effort, your pain. You've watched the older man burn herbs, their smoke curling into the sky, a message to the clouds that never seem to answer. You don't know if it works, but you do it because the alternative is facing the world's wrath alone. You think of the group's children, their small bodies swaying beside you, their eyes wide but learning. They've seen the rituals heard, the chants watched, the offerings laid out. They know the spirits' names, the stories of their anger, their gifts. You've seen them mimic the older man waving sticks as if calling the rain, their voices high and earnest. But you've also seen their fear, the way they cling to their mothers when the thunder rolls, believing it's the spirit's voice. You felt that fear too, the way it grips you when the sky darkens, when the hunt fails, when the group looks to the older man and finds no answers. You've learned to offer what you can, to move with the group, because standing still feels like inviting disaster. The ritual stretches on, the older man's voice growing hoarse, the group's energy fading. You're tired, your body aching, your stomach empty from the fast you've kept for days. You've given what you could, a handful of berries, a stone you carved with trembling hands, and you hope it's enough. But the sky stays heavy, the rain doesn't come, and you feel the group's fear sharpen, their eyes flickering to the older man, to each other, to you. You've seen what happens when the spirits stay silent, when the group's desperation turns to action. You've heard of lives offered, their blood meant to soften the spirit's anger, their loss a plea for the group's survival. You pray it doesn't come to that, but the fear is there, a weight as heavy as the clouds above. The worst part settles over you. As the chant fades, the group sinking to the ground, exhausted, but still watching the sky. The spirits, the ones you've poured your strength into, never answer clearly. You've given everything, food you couldn't spare, days without eating blood from your own hands, and they stay silent. Their will a mystery you can't unravel. You've seen the group wait, their hope fading as the drought lingers, the sickness spreads, the animals vanish. You've felt the older man's fear, his eyes searching the clouds for a sign that never comes. You've carried the group's desperation, their belief that the spirits are there watching, judging, but never grateful. You kneel in the dirt, your hands still clutching the carved stone, and wonder if the spirits even care, or if they're just another shadow in a world that's always ready to strike. Women had it rougher. The sun is barely up, its light weak through the morning mist, but you're already moving, your bare feet sore against the rocky ground, a woven basket heavy on your back. Your hands are raw from digging roots yesterday, your fingers stained with berry juice, and the ache in your lower back never fades. A constant reminder of the child you carried last season, or the one growing inside you now. The air smells of damp earth and smoke from the group's fire. and you hear the soft cries of a baby strapped to the woman beside you, her own basket swaying as she bends to pluck leaves from a low bush. You're part of this small band, a cluster of people fighting to survive, but the weight on your shoulders literal, and not feels heavier than anyone else's. You're a woman in this unforgiving world, and your work never stops your strength taken for granted, your pain unseen while the men's spears and hunts earn the group's praise. You trudge through the grass, your eyes scanning for anything edible, roots, berries, nuts, or the rare patch of greens that might keep the hunger at bay. The basket digs into your shoulders, its rough fibres cutting into your skin, but you don't pause. The group needs food, and while the men are out chasing deer or facing beasts with tusks, it's you and the other women who fill the gaps, finding the small, steady things that keep everyone alive when the hunt fails. You've done this since you were a girl, barely tall enough to carry a basket, your mother's sharp voice guiding your hands to spot the right plants to avoid the ones that sicken. You learned early that survival isn't a dream, it's work endless and unrelenting, and it's yours to carry. Your body tells the story of that work. Your knees ache from hours of kneeling, your spine curved from years of bending, your hands scarred from thorns and rocks. You've carried children one after another, your body stretched and strained, each birth a gamble with pain so fierce it left you shaking. You felt the hunger too, the way it gnaws deeper when you're feeding a child your own share of food, shrinking to keep them strong. You've gone days without rest, your arms full of a baby, your back bent under a load of hides or wood, your eyes always watching for danger. A shadow in the grass, a growl in the distance. You've run from wolves, your child clutched tight, your heart pounding knowing a stumble could end you both. You glance at the girl nearby, her small hands mimicking yours, pulling at a tough root with a grunt. She's young, her face still soft, but her eyes are sharp, learning the same lessons you did. You remember being her trailing your mother, your fingers blistered from weaving grass or scraping hides. You were taught to work, to watch, to survive, not to hope for something easier, something brighter. You showed her how to tie a basket, how to stitch a hide with a bone needle, how to quiet a baby while digging for food. She doesn't play like the boys who wrestle and practice with sticks, their laughter freer. Her world is already yours, a cycle of labour and danger, her body training for the weight she'll carry as a woman. You think of the men, their return from the hunt, marked by shouts and the group's attention. A kill means meat, and they're hailed for it, their hands red with blood, their voices loud with pride. You've seen the marks they leave, scratches on cave walls, shapes of animals and spears, stories of their triumphs. But your work, the roots that fed the group. When the hunt failed, the hides you shaped to keep them warm, the children you've raised to carry the group's future, there's no mark for that, no story told around the fire. You've sat by those flames, your hands busy even then, weaving or nursing, while the men's tales filled the air. Your strength is the group's backbone, but it's their glory that's remembered. Your body bears the cost of this life. You felt the toll of birth after birth, your hips aching, your strength sapped by blood loss or hunger. You've worked through fevers, through pains that made your vision blur, because stopping isn't an option. You've seen the bones of women like you found in the dirt, their skeletons worn thin, their joints ground down from years of carrying, kneeling, grinding. The men's bones show scars from fights or hunts, but yours tell a quieter story. One of constant strain of a body pushed beyond its limits to keep the group alive. You felt the weight of that truth, the way your work is both vital and invisible, your pain a shadow, no one names. You pause to adjust the basket, your shoulders screaming, and catch the eye of another woman. She's older, her hair greying, her hands still quick, as she sorts berries, tossing the bad ones aside. She survived longer than most, her body, a map of this life's scars from thorns, a limp from a fall, a cough that lingers from too many smoky fires. She's the one who taught you to bind a child to your back to find water in a dry season, to keep moving when you wanted to collapse. You see her exhaustion, but also her strength, the way she carries on her work, holding the group together. You nod to her, a silent understanding, knowing you're both bound by the same unspoken rules. The day stretches on, and you keep moving, digging, carrying, weaving, soothing a child's cry. You've made a new hide for the group, your fingers bleeding from the bone needle, your arms aching from stretching the leather. You've found a patch of nuts, your basket heavier, for it your back bent under the load. You've watched the horizon ready to run. If a shadow moves wrong, your child's weight a constant on your chest. You've done it all day after day, your body wearing down but never stopping because the group needs you, even if they don't say it. The irony stings as you sit by the fire that night, the men's voices rising with stories of a hunt that brought nothing but bruises. You're nursing a child, your hands still working. Braiding grass for a mat. The group is alive because of you, your food, your hides, your children. But the stories aren't yours. The cave walls hold no mark of your hands, no tribute to the roots you dug, or the lives you've carried. You've kept the group breathing. Their bellies filled, their bodies warm, but the praise goes to the spears, the kills, the men who return with blood on their hands. You feel the weight of it, the quiet truth that your work is the group's heart, but it's their glory that's carved into the stone. You rise before dawn, the ache in your body, a familiar companion, and take up your basket again. The girl watches you, learning, her small hands, ready to carry her own load soon. You move into the morning, the group's survival resting on your shoulders, your strength, a fire that burns unseen. This is your world, where every step is a fight, every task a lifeline. And your work the foundation, no one names. You carry on because you must, because the group lives through you, even if the stories they tell will never bear your name. Kids weren't kids. The sun is barely above the horizon, its weak light filtering through the trees, but you're already moving, your small hands clutching a sharpened stick, your bare feet toughened by the rocky ground. You're no taller than the grass that scratches at your legs, your body thin from days of meagre meals, maybe a handful of berries or a scrap of meat if the hunt went well. Your eyes are sharp, scanning the dirt for tracks, your ears tuned to every rustle in the brush. You're not playing, not laughing like a child might in another world. You're learning, working, surviving, because out here childhood is a luxury no one can afford. By the time you've seen 7 summers, you're expected to pull your weight, to hunt, to gather, to keep the group alive, or risk being left behind in a world that shows no mercy to the small or the weak. You're part of a group, a tight band of people huddled in a clearing, their faces smudged with dirt, their voices low as they divide the day's tasks. You trail behind a woman, her basket heavy with roots, her baby strapped to her back. She's teaching you her words, sharp and quick, how to spot the faint prints of an antelope, how to dig for tubers without breaking them, how to stay quiet when the shadows move. You've been at it for years, since your hands were strong enough to hold a rock. You remember your first task, barely able to walk, toddling after her to pick berries, your fingers pricked by thorns. You didn't cry, you learned early that tears don't fill bellies, and the group needs you to work, not whine. The world is a maze of dangers, and you know them better than any game. You've seen the tracks of big cats, their claws longer than your hand, their growls haunting the night. You've watched a friend slip on wet rocks, his legs snapping, his cries fading as the group moved on without him. You've felt the hunger, the kind that makes your head light, your steps unsteady, and you've seen what happens when food runs out. You've heard the stories of children left behind too weak to keep up their small forms, abandoned in the grass when the group couldn't carry them. You've seen their bones tiny and scattered, proof that the land doesn't care if you're young. You move faster, your stick ready, because you know the price of falling behind. You think of the boy who used to walk with you, his laugh quick and bright, his hands clumsy but eager. He was like you, learning to track, to weave grass, to throw a stone. But his mother was taken by a fever, his father lost to a hunt, and he was alone, a shadow in the group's eyes. You saw him weaken, his steps slowing, his share of food shrinking, as the group rationed what little they had. You wanted to help, to share your handful of nuts, but your own hunger was a claw in your gut, and the group's eyes were on you, expecting you to survive, not save. He's gone now, his place empty, and you carry the weight of that truth, knowing you could be next if you falter. You're learning to hunt today, trailing the older men as they stalk a small herd of antelope across the plain. Your stick is light, no match for their spears, but you mimic their crouch, your eyes locked on the animal's movements. You've practiced for this, throwing stones at trees, jabbing at shadows, your arms stronger than they look. You've seen the men return with blood on their hands, the group cheering their kill, and you want to prove you can do it too. But you've also seen the cost, a missed throw, a charge from a beast, a friend who didn't dodge fast enough. You've found their bones marked with tooth or claw, and you know the hunt is no game. You move carefully, your heart pounding your small body, ready to run if the antelope turn. The women teach you other skills, their hands guiding yours as you weave grass into a net or scrape a hide with a stone. You've sat by the fire, your fingers bleeding from a bone needle, stitching leather for a shelter or a wrap for your feet. You've carried wood, your back aching, your arms trembling under the load. You've learned to watch the sky, to smell the air, for rain, to spot the plants that heal or sicken. You've done it all, your body marked by the work scars on your hands, bruises on your knees, joints that ache from tasks too big for your frame. You've seen the bones of children like you, their small skeletons, worn from labour, proof that this life spares no one, not even the young. You think of the group's fire, the one place you feel a flicker of warmth of belonging. You've sat there listening to the older ones, their voices weaving stories of hunts and spirits. You've watched the men carve marks on stones, their triumphs etched for all to see. But you've noticed the women's work, the way they keep the group fed, clothed, alive, is never carved, never praised. You're learning that too, the way your labour is expected, your pain ignored. You've seen the girls older than you, their bodies changing, their baskets heavier, their eyes already tired. You know that's your path, a life of work without rest, of survival without glory. The day stretches on, and you keep moving, your small hands busy, your eyes always watching. You've gathered a handful of berries, your fingers stained, your mouth watering, but holding back because the group comes first. You've helped set a trap, your net of grass hidden in the brush, hoping to catch something small. You've carried a child younger than you, his weight slowing your steps but warming your chest. You've done it all, your body aching, your hunger a constant hum, because stopping means falling behind, and falling behind means death. You've seen the group move on, without others, their eyes avoiding the small forms left in the dirt. And you know you have to keep up no matter how heavy the load. The worst part hits you as you huddle by the fire that night, your hands still clutching the stick you've carried all day. You've survived this far, your small body tougher than it looks, your skills growing with every season. But survival comes with a cost. You've seen the group make choices, leaving the weak, the sick, the ones who couldn't carry their share. You've felt the hunger that makes those choices easier, the fear that hardens the group's hearts. You know that if you make it, if you grow strong enough to stand with the adults, you'll face those same choices. You'll be the one deciding who eats who, stays who's left behind. You'll carry the weight of abandoning the small, the weak, just as you were once small and weak, and the cycle will turn again. You curl closer to the fire, the group's warmth, a fragile shield against the dark. Your stick is beside you, your hands still ready, your eyes heavy but open. This is your world, where childhood is a task, not a time where every day is a lesson in survival, and every lesson scars you. You're a child, but you're not a kid, not in the way that matters. You're a worker, a hunter, a gatherer, a piece of the group's fragile hope. You carry on because you must, because the group needs you, even if it might one day turn away. The fire burns low, the night pressing in, and you brace for another day, knowing the life you're fighting for is the same one that might one day leave you behind. Weather was your boss. The wind screams across the open plain, a freezing blade that cuts through the thin hide draped over your shoulders, chilling your skin to the bone. You're trudging through ankle-deep snow, each step a battle against the crunching frost, your breath clouding in the air like a ghost. Your hands are numb, wrapped in scraps of leather that do little to fend off the cold, and your toes ache with a sharp, biting pain that promises worse if you don't find shelter soon. The sky is a heavy grey spitting flakes that sting your face, and the world feels like it's turned against you. There's no house to run to, no fire, waiting, just the endless white stretching ahead, and the group at your side, their faces grim as they push forward, driven by the need to follow the herds or escape the weather's wrath. This is your life, where the sky dictates every move, and the weather is a merciless master that cares nothing for your plans or your pain. You're part of a small band, maybe 20 people, your bodies hunched against the storm. Your steps slow but relentless. You've been moving for days, weeks, maybe longer, following the faint trails of animals, deer, antelope, or the massive beasts with shaggy fur and tusks. The land is your map, but it's a cruel one, offering no signs, no paths, just endless stretches of snow mud or burning sand depending on the season. You've learnt to read it, to watch the birds, for water, to feel the air for rain, but it's never enough. The weather shifts without warning, a calm morning turning to a blizzard by noon, a dry valley flooding under a sudden downpour. You've seen it drown the land, sweep away, shelters bury food under mud. And you know every step is a gamble with a force you can't outsmart. Your body tells the story of this life. Your skin is cracked from the wind. Your joints ache from nights spent shivering on frozen ground. Your eyes burn from squinting into the sun or snow. You felt the summers too, when the heat presses down, like a weight, the air so thick it's hard to breathe, your mouth dry as dust. You've walked through days like that, your bare feet blistered on scorching rocks, your head pounding from thirst, the group's water skin long empty. You've carried what you could, hide spears, a few stones, but the heat or cold makes every load heavier, every step a test. You've seen the group weaken their steps, faltering, their faces gaunt from hunger when the weather drove the animals away or withered the plants you depend on. You think of the last camp, a shallow cave that offered a moment's relief from the wind. You huddled there, the group pressed close, the fire's smoke stinging your eyes, but its warmth a desperate need. You've spent hours gathering wood, your hands scratched and bleeding, knowing the fire was your only defense against the night's freeze. But even the cave wasn't safe. You've seen shelters flood the water, rushing in so fast you barely escaped your hides and tools lost to the current. You felt the ground shake under the storms, lightning cracking the sky, the thunder so loud it felt like the world was breaking. You've woken to snow burying the entrance, the group digging out with frozen hands, praying the air would hold until you broke free. You glance at the woman beside you, her face lined with exhaustion, her child strapped to her back, his small body wrapped in a hide that's too thin for this cold. She's moving, always moving, her eyes scanning for danger or food, her hands never still. You've seen her work through every season, digging roots in the heat, carrying wood in the snow, soothing her child while the wind howled. She's taught you to watch the sky, to smell the air, to know when to run from a storm or when to brace for it. You've learned from her, from all the women, that this life is motion, a constant chase for survival with no place to call home, no rest to claim as your own. You think of the children, their small forms struggling to keep up, their hands already calloused from work. They've learned to carry, to gather, to watch for tracks, their eyes sharp despite their size. You were like them once, trailing the group, your basket light, but your steps heavy, your body learning the rhythm of this endless march. You've seen them fall, too tripped by roots caught by floods, or simply too weak to go on when the hunger tightened its grip. You've found their bones small and brittle, scattered where the group couldn't stop, couldn't carry them. You know the weather doesn't care if you're young, if you're tired, if you've walked until your feet bled. It demands you move, and you do, because staying still is death. You've seen what happens when the weather turns cruel for too long. You've walked through valleys littered with bones, not just people, but animals, whole herds caught by a freeze or a drought that left nothing to eat. You've felt the group's fear when the seasons shifted, the winters stretching longer, the summers burning hotter, the rains failing to come. You've seen the group shrink, faces you knew gone to hunger cold, or the sickness that follows when the body can't fight anymore. You've helped pile stones over the fallen, your hands shaking, knowing the weather could claim you next. You've learned to keep moving, to follow the herds, to chase the water, because stopping means giving up, and giving up means the end. The snow thickens now, the wind driving it into your eyes, and you pull the hide tighter, its damp weight no match for the cold. You've known nights like this, when the frost bites at your fingers, your toes leaving them white and numb. The pain a promise of loss if you don't find warmth. You've huddled with the group, your bodies pressed close, sharing what little heat you have, praying the fire holds. You've seen what happens when it doesn't. People who didn't wake their bodies stiff in the morning, light their faces peaceful in a way the living can't afford. You move faster, your eyes on the horizon, hoping for a cave, a grove, anything to break the storm's grip. The worst part settles over you as you trudge on the group's steps, a stubborn defiance against the snow. The weather doesn't care about your hopes, your plans, your dreams of a better day. You've made plans before: stay by a river, build a shelter, rest for a season. But the weather laughs at them, sending floods to sweep your work away, droughts to starve you, blizzards to bury you. You've seen the group try to fight it, piling rocks against the wind, weaving grass to block the rain, but the weather always wins. You've felt its indifference, the way it shifts without warning, turning a clear sky to a storm, a warm day to a freeze. You carry no plans now, only the need to move, to survive, to outlast the sky's next mood. You push forward, the group at your side, your bodies bent against the storm. The cold is a weight, the hunger a claw, but you keep going because that's all you know. This is your world, where the weather is your master, your enemy, your god. It shapes every step, every breath, every choice. And it offers no mercy, no pause. You've seen its power, felt its cruelty, and you know it's always watching, ready to test you again. You grip your stick, your eyes on the endless white, and brace for whatever the sky throws next, knowing your only plan is to survive until it changes its mind. Technology was a sharp rock. The sun beats down on your back, its heat mixing with the sweat dripping into your eyes as you sit on the hard ground, a chunk of flint cradled in your calloused hands. Your fingers, scarred and rough from days of work, grip a smooth stone, striking the flint with a sharp crack that echoes across the clearing. Chips fly, some cutting your skin, but you barely flinch. Your focus is on the edge. You're shaping a blade that could mean the difference between eating tonight or going hungry again. The air smells of dust, and the faint smoke from a fire nearby, where the group huddles, their eyes occasionally flicking to you, their hopes pinned on the tool you're crafting. This is your technology, a world of stone, bone and fire, where every tool is born from your hands, and every mistake could cost you more than just time. You're part of a small band, a cluster of people scattered across the clearing, their hands busy with their own tasks, sharpening sticks, weaving grass, tending the fire. That's your only defense against the cold. Your tools are simple but vital. A stone blade for cutting, a bone needle for stitching. Hides a fire that's as much a burden as a blessing. You've spent years learning to use them, your hands guided by the older ones, their voices sharp with lessons hard won. You remember your first attempt at knapping flint, your fingers bloody, the stone shattering into useless shards. It took seasons to learn the right angle, the right force to turn a rough rock into a blade that could slice through hide or flesh. There's no guide, no quick trick. Just trial error, and the groups need pushing you to get it right. You strike the flint again, a thin flake peeling away, and you hold it up, squinting at the edge. It's sharp but not perfect, and you know a dull blade could fail in a hunt, leaving the group empty-handed, or worse, wounded. You've seen the man across the fire, his hands steady as he binds a stone tip to a spear. His work respected, because a good tool can turn a desperate chase into a meal. You've watched him teach the younger ones, his voice low, showing them how to balance a spear, how to throw it so it flies true. But you've also seen the cost of failure. A spear that broke mid-hunt, a blade that chipped and cost a kill. The group's eyes turning on the maker, their hunger sharper than any stone. You feel that weight now, your hands careful, knowing your work could decide who eats and who doesn't. You think of the fire, its flames, a constant battle to maintain. You've spent hours gathering wood, your arms scratched by branches, your back aching from the load. Starting the fire is harder, rubbing sticks until your hands blister, coaxing a spark into flame while the group watches silent and tense. You've learned to tend it, to keep it alive through wind and rain, because without it the cold could kill you. The raw meat could sicken you. The dark could hide a predator's approach. But the fire demands as much as it gives: smoke that stings your eyes, burns your throat, and a hunger for wood that never stops. You've seen it turn on the group, a spark catching a dry hide, the flames spreading before anyone could react. Your technology is a lifeline, but it's a fragile one, as likely to betray you as to save you. You glance at the woman nearby, her hands deft, as she threads a bone needle through a hide, stitching a covering that might keep someone warm tonight. Her fingers are quick, her eyes focused, but you know the years it took to master that skill, the pricks and cuts that marked her learning. She's crafting a tool too, her work as vital as yours, turning the bloody skins of a kill into something the group can use. You've watched her teach the girls, showing them how to punch holes, how to tie sinew, her patience thin, but her hands sure. You've seen the group rely on her, their bodies wrapped in her work, but her role is quiet, her effort expected, not praised. You feel a kinship knowing your blade, her needle. The fire all are pieces of a fragile whole, holding the group together against a world that wants to break it. You think of the spear thrower the men use, a stick that looks simple but took years to master. You've watched them practice their arms, straining their throws, going wide, until they learned the flick of the wrist that sends a spear farther faster. You've tried it yourself, your small frame struggling to balance the weight, the spear wobbling before it fell. The older ones laughed, but their eyes were kind, urging you to try again, because a good throw could feed the group, could save a life. You've seen the pride in their faces when a hunt succeeds, the group cheering the kill. But you've also seen the failures, a spear that missed a hunter who didn't come back. The group's hunger, a silent accusation. You know, every tool, every skill is a fight to perfect a fight you can't afford to lose. You've seen the slow crawl of change, the way a new shape of blade, or a better way to tie a spearhead, can spread through the group, learned from watching, copying, trying. You've heard stories of other groups, their tools slightly different, a sharper point, a stronger bind, and you've seen the group adopt what works bit by bit. But progress is a slog, each step earned through seasons of failure, of hands bloodied, of hunts that came back empty. You found old tools, stone blades, worn smooth, proof that your work builds on those who came before. But the gap between one good blade and the next can feel like a lifetime. You chip away, hoping this blade will be better, knowing it's still no match for the world's dangers. The worst part hits you as you set the finished blade aside, its edge gleaming in the sunlight. You've poured your skill, your pain into this tool, but it's nothing against the bear that could wander into camp. its bulk unstoppable, its claws tearing through flesh like grass. You've seen it happen, a good spear, a sharp blade, and still the group scatters, the hunter's body left broken. Your technology, for all its effort, is a small thing in a world of teeth and hunger. You felt the group's hope rest on your hands, but you know the truth. No blade, no fire, no needle can tame the land's cruelty. You rise your hands, still stinging, and hand the blade to the group, their eyes on you, their survival tied to the sharp rock you've made. And you brace for the next task, knowing your best is only a start. Starvation was your shadow. The hunger gnaws at your gut, a sharp twisting pain that's been your constant companion for days, maybe weeks. You're crouched in the brittle grass, your hands clawing at the dry earth, searching for anything, a root, a grub, a scrap of something to dull the ache. The sun burns your back, its heat relentless, but you barely feel it. Your body weak, your head light, every movement. A struggle against the exhaustion that's settled into your bones. Your mouth is dry, your lips cracked, and the taste of dust lingers from the last thing you tried to eat. A strip of bark you chewed until your jaw ached, hoping it would fill you, knowing it wouldn't. The group around you is silent, their faces gaunt, their eyes hollow, each of them, fighting the same shadow that stalks you, starvation, a quiet killer that never rests in this unforgiving world. You're part of a small band, a ragged cluster of people moving across a land that's turned cruel. The plains stretch endless before you, the grass yellowed and sparse, the trees bare of fruit. The animals you once tracked, deer, antelope, or the massive beasts with shaggy fur, have vanished, driven away by a season that's given nothing but heat and empty skies. You've walked for days, your bare feet blistered, your legs trembling, following trails that lead to nothing, hoping for a sign of life, a patch of green, a trickle of water that might mean food. But the land is stingy, its rivers dry, its plants withered, and the hunger tightens its grip, pulling the group closer to the edge. Your hands shake as you dig the dirt, caking under your nails, your fingers scraping against a tough root. You tug it free, its surface rough and bitter, and you shove it in your mouth, chewing slowly, the taste like ash, but better than the emptiness. You've eaten worse grubs that squirmed, leaves that left your stomach churning, bark that splintered your gums. You've learned to swallow anything, to ignore the way it sits heavy, because the alternative is the hunger growing sharper, stealing your strength, your will. You've seen what it does, how it thins the group, how it takes the weakest first. Their bodies left behind when the rest move on. You glance at the older man nearby, his steps slow, his frame bent under the weight of years and hunger. His hands once steady tremble as he tries to carry a small bundle of sticks, his cough a dry rasp that cuts through the silence. You've seen the group's eyes on him, their glances quick, but heavy, weighing his worth against the food he eats. You've known him since you were small, his stories filling the nights, his knowledge guiding the group through hard times. But now he's a shadow, his strength fading, and you feel the cold truth when food is scarce. The group makes choices, and the weak are left to the land. You've seen it before, an elder too slow to keep up, an injured hunter who couldn't walk, their figures fading, as the group turned away, their fate unspoken, but understood. You think of the children, their small bodies pressed close to the women, their hands busy even now, picking at the ground for anything edible. They're hungry too, their eyes too big for their faces, their voices quiet to save strength. You were like them once, learning to dig, to carry, to survive on scraps while the hunger clawed at you. You've watched them weaken, some not rising after a cold night. Their small forms buried under stones, the group's grief, a silent weight. You felt the mother's pain, their hands giving their own food to their children, their bodies thinning as they try to keep the young alive. You've seen the group ration, what little they have, a handful of berries, or a strip of meat divided among too many, the hunger, a shared burden that never lifts. You've heard whispers of worse stories told in low voices when the fire burns low, times when the hunger was so deep, so desperate that the group turned on itself, taking what they could from the fallen, their bones marked with cuts that weren't from animals. You've seen those bones found in abandoned camps, their surfaces scored by stone blades, proof of choices no one speaks of. It's rare, but it happens when the land offers nothing, when the group's survival hangs by a thread. You shudder the thought, a cold weight, but you know hunger can drive you to anything, can strip away everything but the need to live another day. You move with the group, your steps slow, your basket light, because the land has given so little. You've tried to hunt, your spear trembling in your hands, but the animals are gone, and your throws are weak, your aim blurred by hunger. You've gathered what you could, tough roots, bitter leaves, a few insects that crunched between your teeth. But it's not enough. You felt the group's tension, the way they watch each other, their hands guarding their small shares, their eyes sharp for anyone who takes too much. You've seen fights break out, fists swinging over a stolen scrap, the group's bond fraying under the hunger's strain. You think of the women, their hands never still digging, weaving, carrying children, even as their bodies weaken. They're the ones who find the small things, nut seeds, roots that keep the group going when the hunt fails. You've watched them work through their own hunger, their faces pale, their steps steady despite the pain. You've seen their bones too found in the dirt, their frames worn from years of labour, their teeth ground down from chewing bark or tough plants. You've felt their strength, the way they carry the group's survival, but you've also felt their exhaustion, the way the hunger takes more from them, their bodies giving everything to keep others alive. The day stretches on, and you keep moving your hands, searching your eyes, scanning for anything to eat. You found a patch of dry grass, its seeds small, but worth gathering, your fingers raw as you strip them free. You've chewed on a piece of bark, its bitterness, a small victory over the emptiness in your gut. You've shared what you could, a few seeds pressed into a child's hand, their eyes bright with gratitude. But the hunger is always there, a shadow that follows every step, every breath. You've seen it claim the strong, the ones who fought hardest, their bodies giving out when the land gave nothing. The worst part settles over you as you huddle by the fire that night, the group's warmth, a fragile shield against the cold. You've eaten the bark, the roots, the scraps, and you've called them enough because you had to. You've tasted the bitterness, felt it sit heavy, and told yourself it's a feast because the alternative is facing the hunger's truth, that it's winning, that it's taking you piece by piece. You've seen the group's eyes, their hope fading, as the seasons turn leaner, the land offering less. You've felt the weight of their need, the way they look to you, to each other, for something to fill the emptiness. You clutch the root in your hand, its rough surface a small defiance, and brace for another day, knowing starvation is a shadow you'll never outrun. Sleep was a luxury. The night is a heavy, suffocating black, pierced only by the faint glow of the fire that sputters at the edge of your camp. You're perched on a cold, jagged rock, your body hunched against the biting wind, your eyes burning, as you fight the weight of exhaustion pulling them shut. A wolf's howl cuts through the darkness close enough to make your skin prickle. Its echo, answered by another sharper cry somewhere in the distance. Your hand tightens around a sharpened stick, its point a feeble defense against the unseen threat circling your group. You're on watch tonight, the group's survival resting on your ability to stay awake to keep the shadows at bay. Sleep is a distant hope, a fleeting thought drowned out by the rustle of leaves, the snap of a twig, and the ever-present fear that closing your eyes could mean never opening them again. You're surrounded by the group, a small huddle of bodies curled on the hard ground, their forms barely visible under tattered hides. They're trying to rest their breaths uneven, their bodies twitching at every sound. The ground is unforgiving. Uneven dirt littered with stones cold and damp from the night's chill. You've lain there yourself, a thin hide between you and the earth, its roughness jabbing into your back, your head resting on nothing softer than a rock or your own arm. There's no comfort, no warmth beyond what the group's closeness provides. And even that is fleeting when the wind howls or the fire falters. You felt the ache of those nights, your body stiff, your bones protesting every move, sleep more a tease than a refuge. Your eyes scan the darkness, straining to catch any movement beyond the fire's weak light. The night is alive with danger wolves, with eyes that glint like stars. Big cats silent as shadows bears, whose steps shake the ground. You've heard their growls, seen their tracks too close to camp, found the bones of those who didn't wake. You've learnt to listen for the smallest sounds, to smell the air for the musk of a predator, to keep the fire burning, even when your hands tremble with fatigue. The group sleeps in shifts, one or two staying awake, while the others try to steal a few moments of rest, but even then sleep is shallow, broken by every rustle, every cry. You've seen the cost of letting your guard down a camp, raided a friend gone, the group's safety shattered in a moment's lapse. You shift on the rock, your legs cramped, your back aching from hours of stillness. The cold seeps through your hide, your fingers numb, your toes tingling with the threat of frost. You've been awake since dusk, your body screaming for rest, but there's no relief, no drink to keep you sharp. Just the fire's faint warmth and the fear that keeps your heart racing. You've watched the stars move across the sky, their slow crawl, your only measure of time, each moment stretching into eternity. You've heard the group stir a child, whimpering a woman coughing their rest as fragile as the flames you tend. You felt the weight of their trust, knowing your vigilance is all that stands between them and the jaws waiting in the dark. You think of the days when the group moves under the sun, their steps heavy from nights like this. You've seen their faces etched with exhaustion, their eyes dull from too little sleep. You've felt it yourself, the way your thoughts blur, your hands fumble your body, slows when you need it most. You've carried that fatigue on hunts, your spear missing its mark, or while gathering your eyes, missing the plants you need. You've seen the group's children small and wiry, their bodies tough but their faces tired, learning early that rest is a gift the world rarely gives. You've watched them curl up at night, their small forms pressed close to the adults, their sleep haunted by the same fears you carry. You've seen the toll of this life in the group's bodies, their bones marked by the strain of constant vigilance. You've found skeletons in the dirt, their ribs thin, their joints worn. Proof that sleep deprivation was as much a killer as hunger or cold. You've felt it in yourself, the way your heart races even when you lie down, the way your dreams, when they come, are filled with running, hiding, fighting. You've woken gasping, your hands reaching for a weapon, the line between sleep and waking blurred by the constant threat of danger. You've learned to snatch rest in moments, leaning against a tree, crouching by a stream, but it's never enough, never deep, never safe. You think of the woman who taught you to keep watch, her eyes sharp despite the lines carved into her face. She showed you how to feed the fire, how to listen for the sounds that matter, how to stay awake when your body begs to collapse. You've seen her take her turn night after night, her body thinning, her cough worsening, but never faltering. You've watched her guide the group, her voice low but firm, urging them to move to survive, even when her own strength was fading. You've felt her loss, her place empty, now her bones left under stones when the group moved on. You carry her lessons, your hands steady, as you add a branch to the fire, your eyes fixed on the dark, knowing you're all that stands between the group and the night's hunger. The worst part creeps into your thoughts as the night drags on. The wolf's howl fading, but the tension still tight in your chest. When you finally get to sleep, when another takes your place and you curl up on the cold ground, the rest you crave is no escape. Your dreams are a torment, filled with the tasks that wait at dawn, hunting, gathering, moving, surviving. You see the antelope you missed, the berries you couldn't find, the child you couldn't save. You feel the predator's eyes, hear their growls run from their jaws, even in sleep. You wake as tired as you lay down, the group's needs pulling you up, the day's dangers already pressing in. You've learned that sleep when it comes is no luxury. It's a battlefield, as fraught as the watch you keep. You stoke the fire, its flames a small defiance against the dark, and force your eyes to stay open. The group depends on you, their fragile rest in your hands, their lives tied to your ability to outlast the night. You're tired, your body aching, your mind foggy, but you hold on because that's what this world demands. The stars wheel above the wolves' howl, and you sit a lone sentinel in a world where sleep is a dream you can't afford, where every moment of rest is stolen from the jaws of a night that's always hungry. Community was a double-edged sword. The fire's glow bathes the clearing in a flickering warmth, but the chill in your bones isn't just from the night air. You're sitting cross-legged on the hard ground, a tattered hide pulled tight around your shoulders, surrounded by the group, your family, your tribe, your everything. Their faces smudged with dirt and etched with the day's wear are as familiar as your own reflection in a still pool. You know their voices, their habits, the way they laugh or scowl, because there's no escape from them, no door to close, no path to walk alone. This group of 30 souls is your lifeline, the only thing keeping you alive in a world of teeth and storms, but it's also a cage, their eyes always watching, their judgments sharp as the stone blade at your side. Every move you make, every word you speak is weighed, and out here one wrong step could mean losing the only world you know. You shift, feeling the group's closeness, their bodies pressed near, to share warmth, their breaths mingling in the smoky air. The smell of sweat and burning wood fills your nose, and the sounds of the camp, low murmurs a child's soft cry, the crackle of the fire, are a constant hum. You've grown up with these people, shared their food, their fears, their fights. They're the ones who stood with you against the wolves, who divided the last berries when the hunt failed, who carried you when you twisted your ankle crossing a river. Without them, you'd be bones in the grass, picked clean by scavengers. But that bond comes with a price. You feel their eyes when you take an extra sip of water, hear their whispers when you linger too long with someone's partner, sense their tension when you speak too loudly or too little. There's no hiding, no secret kept, and the group's harmony is a fragile thing, easily shattered by a single misstep. You've always been a little different, your thoughts wandering where others don't, your hands slower at tasks the group expects you to master. You've tried to fit in, mimicking their movements, echoing their chants, but you've felt the distance grow the way their smiles don't reach their eyes when you approach. You've seen it happen to others, those who laughed too strangely, who worked too slowly, who questioned the group's ways. You remember a woman, her voice sharp with ideas. No one wanted her eyes bright with dreams that didn't match the group's rhythm. She was pushed to the edges, her share of food shrinking. Her voice ignored until she was gone, sent into the dark with nothing but a bruised face and the group's silence. You've seen the gravebones marked with blows, proof that the group's rules are enforced with fists, clubs, or worse. You know the rules unspoken but carved into every interaction. Share what you find work for the group, keep the peace or face the consequences. You've seen punishments meted out. A man who stole meat, his back bloodied by a whipping, his cries echoing, as the group watched stone-faced. You've heard of banishment, the ultimate sentence. A slow death in a world where no one survives alone. You felt the group's judgment, their eyes narrowing when you fumbled a spear or spoke out of turn. And you've learned to keep your head down to move with their rhythm, because standing out is a risk you can't afford. You've watched the children learn it too, their small hands, busy, their eyes wary, taught early that the group's survival comes before their own wants. You think of the man who leads the hunts, his voice loud, his spear always ready. He's respected, his kills celebrated, but you've seen him enforce the rules, his club swinging, when someone crossed the line. You felt his gaze heavy when you hesitated during a task, and you've worked harder, hoping to avoid his wrath. You've seen the women, their hands never still weaving, gathering, soothing children, their work, the group's heartbeat, but their voices rarely heard in decisions. You've watched them navigate the same tightrope. Their strength vital, but their mistakes judged harshly. You've felt the group's tension, the way a single argument can ripple, turning friend against friend, splitting the fragile unity that keeps you all alive. You've tried to belong, to earn your place by the fire. You've carried wood until your arms ached, shared your handful of nuts even when your stomach growled, joined the chants to appease the spirits. But your differences linger, a quiet unease in the group's eyes, a sense that you don't quite fit. You've seen it in others, the man who moved too slowly, the girl who sang strange songs, their places in the group eroding until they were shadows, then gone. You found their traces, graves dug, shallow bones broken by hands that once shared food with them. You know the group's survival depends on unity, but you felt its cruelty, the way it cuts away those who don't conform, who can't keep up, who dare to be different. You think of the nights when the group gathers the fire's light, a rare moment of warmth. You've listened to their stories, tales of hunts and spirits, and you've tried to add your own, hoping to weave yourself into their world. But you've felt the silence that follows the way their eyes slide away, and you've learnt to speak less to blend in. You've seen the group rally, their hands joined against a storm or a predator, and you've felt the strength of that bond, the way it holds you up. But you've also seen it break, a fight over a stolen hide, a grudge that split the group, leaving some to walk away. Their fate's unknown, but likely grim. You've learned that the group is your shield, but also your judge, its rules, a blade that can turn on you. The night deepens and you huddle closer to the fire, the group's warmth a fragile comfort. You feel the weight of their eyes, their expectations, their unspoken laws. You've worked to prove your worth, your hands busy, your voice careful, but you know it's never enough. You've seen the group make choices, leaving the weak, punishing the defiant, casting out the different. You felt the fear of being that outcast, of facing the dark alone, where the wolves wait and the cold kills. You've known the group's strength, the way it carries you through hunger and danger, but you've also known its betrayal, the way it can turn swift and merciless when you're no longer what it needs. The ultimate irony settles over you as you sit by the fire, the group's murmurs a low hum around you. You need these people, their hands, their fire, their shared fight against the world. Without them, you're nothing, a lone figure in a land that devours the solitary. But they need you too, your work, your strength, your place in their fragile whole. Yet for all that need, they'd abandon you in a heartbeat, their eyes cold, their steps moving on. If you falter, if you break their rules, if you're too different. You've seen it, felt it, known it in the bones. You've buried the graves that mark the group's justice. You pull the hide tighter. The fire's glow no match for the chill of that truth, and you brace for another day, bound to a group that's both your life and your judge. Why we're still screwed. The dawn breaks over a frost-crusted plain, and you're already shivering, your breath puffing in the icy air as you crouch in the dirt clutching a jagged rock like it's your lifeline. Your stomach's a hollow pit growling louder than the wolves you heard circling last night, and your feet bare, except for some flimsy hide scraps are cut and stinging from yesterday's endless trek. A shadow moves in the grass and your heart leaps into your throat. Is it a big cat with teeth like knives or just the wind? You don't know, but you're not waiting to find out. You scramble to your feet, your body aching, your eyes gritty from a night spent half awake guarding against the dark. Welcome to prehistoric life, where every sunrise is a middle finger from the universe, and you with your soft, modern hands, and your coffee addiction wouldn't make it to noon. You're part of a ragged group, a band of survivors who look like they've been through a blender. Faces smudged with dirt, bodies scarred from fights with nature, and each other eyes sharp with the kind of fear that never sleeps. You've been thrown into their world, a gauntlet of starvation, predators, disease and drama that makes your worst Monday look like a spa day. You're hungry. Not I forgot lunch hungry, but the kind where you're eyeing tree bark and calling it dinner. You've spent days digging for roots, your hands bloody only to come up with a few bitter scraps that barely keep you standing. You've watched hunts fail spears, missing their mark, the group's bellies empty as the men slink back their pride, as bruised as their bodies. You've felt the hunger's bite the way it clouds your thoughts, makes you wonder if you'd fight a friend for a handful of berries. And the predators. They're not just a scary story. You've heard the wolves at night. Their howls so close you swear they're breathing down your neck. You've seen the tracks of cats, their claws longer than your fingers, and felt the ground shake under a bear's charge. It's raw enough to haunt your dreams if you could sleep long enough to dream. You've gripped your pathetic stick, knowing it's no match for their jaws, and you've run your heart pounding, praying you're faster than the thing behind you. You've stood watch in the dark, your eyes burning, every rustle a threat, knowing one slip could mean the group wakes to blood and screams. You found bones, human ones marked with teeth proof. You're not the top dog, you're lunch. Disease is your other shadow, creeping through the group like a thief. You've scratched at itches that turned to sores, felt your gut twist from water. You had to drink murky and foul. Your teeth ache, one loose and sharp. And you know what happens when the rot sets in. Swelling fever, a slow fade to nothing. You've seen the group shun the sick, their eyes cold, as they leave them behind because survival trumps pity. You've coughed through smoky nights, your chest tight, and wondered if you're next, if the herbs the old woman offers will help or just make you sicker. You've buried the ones who didn't make it, their bodies light as kindling, and you've felt the fear that this world doesn't care if you're strong or smart, it'll take you anyway. Then there's the drama, the kind that makes your group chat's bats look like a toddler's tantrum. You're stuck with these people, their eyes on you, their grudges as sharp as their spears. You took an extra sip of water once and the glares could have killed you. You smiled at the wrong person and now someone's sharpening their club a little too close. You've seen fights break out, fists flying over a stolen route. And you've heard the screams of the banished sent into the dark for breaking the group's rules. You've felt the weight of their judgment, knowing one wrong move could make you the outcast left to face the wolves alone. You've learned to keep your head down, to work, to share, because the group is your only shot, even if it's a prison of stares and whispers. Now pull back to today, where you're probably reading this on a screen, your fridge humming with snacks, your bed soft with pillows. You romanticize this past, don't you? You watch survival shows thinking you'd be the hero, charming the wolves with your grit, building a fire with a snap of your fingers. But let's be real, your survival skills are ordering takeout and Googling how to not die in the woods. You'd trip over a root cry when you got a splinter and faint at the first growl from the bushes. You're soft-shaped by a world of Wi-Fi and grocery stores, and that's not your fault, it's evolution's little prank. Those prehistoric struggles carved our instincts, our drive to survive, to band together to fear the dark. But they also left us fragile, our bodies no tougher than theirs, our minds just as prone to panic when the world turns mean. You think you've escaped their nightmare with your cars and your apps and your climate control, but look closer, we're still those same humans, just with shinier toys. Our instincts scream at us to hoard food, to watch strangers, warily to jump at shadows, because deep down we know we're one bad day from being back there. You've felt it, haven't you? That flicker of fear when the power goes out. That pang when you skip a meal. that urge to stick with your people when things get rough. We're built for that world, not this one. And it shows in every stress headache, every sleepless night, every fight over nothing that feels like everything. We're survivors, sure, but we're also a mess carrying the scars of a past we barely escaped. And here's the real kicker, the one that'll keep you up tonight if society collapsed tomorrow. If the stores emptied and the lights went out, you'd be right back in that prehistoric hell. You'd be dodging bears with nothing but a stick eating dirt, because it's all you've got, fighting your neighbours for the last can of beans. Your phone's dead, your skills useless, your soft hands no match for the land's teeth. Evolution hasn't made you tougher, it's made you dependent. A creature of comfort who'd crumble when the world gets raw again. You'd learn maybe, but not before the hunger, the cold, or the claws got you. Thanks, evolution, for the upgrade that's really just a lease on borrowed time. You sit by the group's fire, now the flame's weak, but vital, the group's eyes reflecting the light. Their faces a mirror of your own fear. You've lived their day, felt their hunger, their danger, their fragile bond. You've seen what it took to survive, and you know you're not cut out for it, not yet. Maybe not ever. But you also know their strength is in you, buried under layers of modern fluff, waiting for the world to strip it all away. You're human, just like them, built to endure, but not to thrive, not without the group, the fire, the fight. You pull the hide tighter, the night pressing in, and wonder how long your toys will keep the shadows at bay. If you've enjoyed this sarcastic sprint through the prehistoric grinder, raise a glass to those who made it so we could complain about slow Wi-Fi. Picture yourself in their world, waking to a wolf's howl, your only tool, a rock, your only plan. Survival. What's the worst part you'd fail at? Hunting, starving, or just keeping your cool when the group's drama hits? Tell me your doom in the comments, because I'm dying to know how fast you'd tap out. If you loved this, smash that like button, hit subscribe and stick around for the next video, where we'll probably roast another era for being a total train wreck. Stay sleepless, you fragile modern survivors, and I'll see you in the chaos of history's next mess.